Happy Tuesday, everybody. Heidi Glaus here with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey. I hope that you don't have too much debris to pick up after yesterday's storms. Ours was, there was a lot of wind, but we don't have a lot of limbs down, and we don't have a lot of, at least trees down in the area.
In my part of Fenton, it was nothing almost.
Really?
Yeah. Got a little windy and rainy. Mm-hmm. And there was like most St. Louisans, I think, we're watching out the window. We're looking at the radar on our phone or on television. And there was a little, I guess it kind of came in about 7 o'clock. And then, I don't know, 7:30, you could see there was like an eye of the storm.
Yeah.
Went right over our house. It got real calm. And then it picked up again a little bit, but it never got dangerous.
Just
Thank goodness.
eerie, I think. Like, especially, we were sitting out on the porch as well, just kind of taking it
That's
all
what Midwesterners do.
That's exactly right. And then we went in for dinner, and we looked out, and it was just that, like, the whole sky was, it would light up after it had kind of gotten dark. And that's when I think it gets a little creepy.
And then the wind came back, but mild winds.
Yeah, somebody said it turned creepy yellow. What is that?
Now, we didn't get that.
Yeah.
Our little eye in the storm has just got calm. And then it picked up again a little bit, but, I mean, kind of like a typical thunderstorm, but maybe not even as much rain. And then all of a sudden the sun came out on the horizon.
Like
so we were very lucky.
More heavy rains coming this evening. So just, stay alert.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Yes.
Obviously, always. But they were talking about this thing last Friday. So it just had a weird, especially when school started getting called off on Sunday, it had that weird impending doom.
Well, there's still a lot of places closed today.
Yeah, well,
Today?
the forecaster said, and I got to give them, they never get it right. Well, they hedged, and I don't blame them because they were telling the truth. There's going to be bad storms. Mm-hmm. We just don't know where.
Yeah,
and
how
it
bad.
hit north and over in Illinois, and you just hope those folks find a way to survive and get through it. There was some horrible video, especially over on the east side.
Yeah.
Well, Bob came in yesterday and he goes, "What's the deal? What's going on? It's got a weird vibe going on in here." I think it just kind of put a weird,
because everybody's on edge.
Well, I think it's a dark cloud over everything.
Literally,
yes.
A yellow cloud.
Well,
It
was
depending on your location.
Pretty yellow in St. Charles.
It was pretty black when I was driving in yesterday, as far as that goes. Let me tell you what we have coming up. We're going to talk to the author of Men at Work, the Empire State Building, and the untold story of the craftsman who built it. I find this so hard to believe, but there is no list of workers from the Empire State Building.
Oh, weird.
Glenn Kurtz, this author, started digging in and is telling the story of these unknown men. So we'll talk to him about the Empire State Building.
Does he do a chapter on King Kong climbing up to the top?
I don't know. We'll ask him.
I'll ask him.
Yeah, that's for you to ask.
Okay.
We'll also check in with Jordana Miller, find out the latest going on in the Middle East, especially gas prices spiking amid these stalled talks. In the 4 o'clock, we're going to talk to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Editorial Board editor, because they're doing a series right now on downtown St. Louis. And one of the headlines that I absolutely loved is downtown St. Louis is safer than you think, no really. And I love the no really. So we'll break down some numbers and get some ideas from the editorial board coming up here at about 4:20. We'll also check in with Royal Oaks, ABC's legal analyst, and a couple of different things. The Trump Ballroom and trying to get it back up and going. It looks like there's a little bit more steam behind that. And then there is a new Comey indictment. He's been charged with threatening the life of a president. Now, we'll see exactly what's happening here. And then in the 5 o'clock, this is interesting. There was a report that just came out that said that starting salary for teachers in Missouri ranks 49 out of 50 states, which is something to be embarrassed by, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll talk to the president of Missouri National Education Association, talk about this new report, talk about what needs to be done and how the rest of us can help. So that's coming up at 5:10. We've got some entertainment news, and then we'll wrap this show up with some randoms. But I will tell you this, one of the stories in the entertainment is Lisa Kudrow, better known as Phoebe on Friends, has come out in a new article and tells everyone how much all of those Friends stars are still making year after year, and you will not believe how much it is.
Josh and I would, and people who are fans of Seinfeld would, because every cast member is rich because of it.
It's
and
pretty
Friends
crazy.
is right there with them.
Yeah. So that's what we have coming up. I saw this, and I got to say, I kind of agree and want your guys' take on this. I know we have a lot of parents, we have a lot of grandparents listening. So text line, of course, 84126. But Matthew Baumgartner, who is a reality star, but he owns a place called June Farms in upstate New York, and he recently has kind of gone on this tirade saying what makes him so mad about an embarrassing summer job trend. And here's his take. These days, it's not even the kid, the student, the teenager calling, asking for a job. It's the parent. And he's saying that sets a bad precedent. If you want to know if I have jobs to offer, have the kid call. Now, I would say there's probably a line somewhere of the age, especially, or maybe if it's the first time you're calling about a job that you have to be coached. But they say it's not uncommon for parents to go on job interviews with even their college graduate.
To me, that's the line.
I get if you're a parent and maybe you call a store or whatever and say, hey, are you guys hiring?
Just to get the ball rolling.
Just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And say, hey, the hardware store's hiring. Go up there today and do it. I get that. This thing where parents are going on job interview, it's fake, right? This isn't real.
No, this is real.
This is insane. Like, are you sitting there and mom's in the background, or is she on the same in the same seat
and
as
speaking for you, the kid?
Yes, or are they just hovering in the back? This is insane, right?
It's a stage mom thing gone crazy.
Well, I think that, one, you guys should maybe take a step back, and it's not just moms. Some of the dads are also kind of pushy in some of these situations, too, to kind of say, oh, I'll get my son a job. Let me call X, Y. I just think...
to be fair, I've helped.
Oh, yeah, helping.
Because of contacts.
Yes, call a friend and say, but then let them do the rest of the work.
Exactly right. It's up to them to finish it, to get the job.
And I would say if a kid can drive, would probably be then they can make the phone call. No?
I still can't believe that this is a thing. Like, you hear anecdotes. How prevalent, though, is it? Like, does every employer have an example of a parent coming on a job interview?
It seems like it in this article. This was on today.com. And somebody said, I can't tell you how many parents insisted on sitting in on the summer camp counselor interviews I held. And then they answered all the questions for them.
If you're the interviewer, wouldn't you have to say, no, we're not doing that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
If it was like, one time thing, oh my God, listen to this, Bob. The parent came with the kid and answered all the questions. That's crazy. If this is a regular thing, we've lost our minds.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, there's going to be certain situations probably. If a kid has some kind of anxiety disorder or maybe, they have a learning need or disability that they need to be walked through. But this is acting like this has become so popular for at least a couple of employers weighing in. So it was so much so that this guy goes on and says, you guys have got to stop doing this. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you. How dumb is your kid that they can't apply themselves? You're doing them a disservice. So I just thought it was an interesting take on that. But what if you're an employer, what do you think if the parent is calling?
Well, like I said, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I've called.
Yeah.
But I've never gone on a job interview. So that's the line I won't cross. Everybody's got their own line they won't cross, I guess.
And you're calling them for a summer job or for a big job or any, and at what age? Because I'm going to say, obviously, it's a lot of who you know. And
yes.
Right, connections.
Connections as far as that goes. But I think there is also a line of just calling and saying, hey, just wondering, and then still having your kid follow up and make the call. Okay, I have a friend who owns a business. Hey, are you doing internships this summer? Yes.
well, yeah.
That's
what
then
I'm
the
talking-
kid takes over.
Yes.
And you're not filling out the questionnaire for them.
No.
Yeah. So I just think this is an interesting thing. And maybe this is what we're seeing the kids who got those trophies who didn't win are now growing up and looking
Where's
for
my
jobs.
trophy?
And it all kind of rolls downhill.
Well, those trophy kids. Mm-hmm. I would be interested. 84126. Has anyone seen this locally? Has anyone done this locally? And, if it's a 14-year-old, can 14-year-old? I worked at 14. Can 14-year-olds legally
You
work?
could probably umpire and stuff like that.
Stuff like that?
I was detasseling corn at 14.
Of course. that seems like Oliver Twistian.
Well, she did have to ask for porridge at the end of the day.
Upton
Yeah.
Sinclair, the jungle, having children with their little fingers get in there. How prevalent is this in St. Louis? I'd be very curious because I cannot believe this is a thing. But the more I hear stories, and Heidi's bringing them up, this has to be a thing, or else people wouldn't be talking about it like this.
Somebody said, parents going on job interviews, my teenagers would be horrified if I even suggested going with them. Somebody
Same.
said, a friend of mine has a son mostly nonverbal, autistic. His son did his own interview at Olive Garden, landed the busing job. So that's pretty incredible, too. But I just think at a certain point it's that line. And teaching a kid, too, a little bit of responsibility and what you need to know. But I mean, it also comes with teaching. I think about it all the time. I mean, kids even have to be taught to hold a door open for the person coming in behind them. And if they don't have somebody that teaches them that, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that kid's rude.
Whatever that line is that a family sets to not cross. For instance, I have a son at University of Arkansas, and after his freshman year, made a call to a friend about a summer job. Okay. They set up an appointment. My son missed the appointment. That was it.
Yeah.
That's on you, bub.
That's right.
I bubbed my own kid.
Yeah.
That's on you, bub.
That's right.
If you messed up, you messed up.
Somebody said, I'm in the service industry. I witness adults who don't know how to order and have to look at their spouse or loved ones to help. I was in a local shop checking out, asked if they were hiring, said my teenager was looking, give me his card and told me to have my son reach out. After that, I should not be a part of it. I agree.
That's where I am too.
Yeah. Parents coming to interviews, scheduling interviews, calling to see is not rare. Whenever that would happen, I would not pass the person on to the hiring manager.
Oh, interesting.
This was for professional college graduate positions. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, because if the job candidate can't handle a face-to-face interview, then what are they going to do actually in the position? Again, as you point out, depending on the child and the specific situation, but by and large, I think that's a reasonable point to make.
I do think it would probably be a red flag for an employer. I
Oh,
mean, don't you
100%.
want the parent always calling you up? I mean, I just think about coaches who have to deal with it already, and now if we're going to take that into jobs, no thank you.
I mean, what this guy said is absolutely right. I'm embarrassed for the child and the parent in this situation. And Bob, it reminds me of Step Brothers. Remember when they went on the interview together?
Yes,
in
I
their
do.
matching tuxedos? It's just awkward, And I can't believe that this is where we are.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it all works out. Somebody said, I work at a major retailer that sells firearms. A mom came to purchase a firearm with her 24-year-old son who could not spell his own name and had to look on their driver's license. Now that's
There's
scary.
probably more of an issue there.
You deny a gun to someone?
Yeah, we're not.
I don't know.
I would hope so.
I would think that the test is literally write your own name.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's an interesting world we live in, and we'll do the best to keep you slightly entertained and informed on this Tuesday afternoon. You know what we have coming up, and hopefully you'll be a part of it here on the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis.
Hey, it's Jill Farmer for Premier Heating and Cooling. You know how spring works in St. Louis. One week you're running the furnace, the next week you're flipping on the air conditioner. It's weather whiplash, and your HVAC system feels it too. That's why spring is the perfect time to have the experts at Premier Heating and Cooling check things out. Their technicians go through 5 years of training, well beyond industry standards. So when they perform a tune-up, they're making sure your system is running safely, efficiently, and ready for whatever the next St. Louis weather swing brings. If your furnace or air conditioner is older or starting to struggle, Premier can help with that too. They offer financing options that make replacing your system far more manageable, and a new unit can mean better comfort and lower energy bills all year long. So whether it's a quick tune-up or time for an upgrade, call the team that knows how to handle St. Louis weather. 636-916-1122, premierheatingcooling.net. Comfort you can count on.
We are here with the man, Ryan Raphael. He's the Medicare man of St. Louis. Ryan, one of the biggest misconceptions about Medicare when people reach the age of 65 is if they don't sign up at age 65, they get penalized.
So really what happens is when people are approaching 65, they get all the literature and things coming at them that looks like they have to do something. If somebody is working, they really do not have to sign up for Medicare as long as they're part of an employer of 20 or more employees and they can take it out down the road and not pay penalties.
So if you're over the age of 65 and you have not signed up for Medicare, there's no penalty. There's no reason why you can't do it at age 65, 66, or 67,
That
or
is
70.
correct. Yep.
That is Ryan Raphael. If you're approaching 65 and you have questions about Medicare, he is the man. The Medicare man, STL.com, 314-368-6808, Ryan Raphael. And if you don't trust me, trust my nanny. My nanny says he's the best. Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man, MedicareManSTL.com.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture and Mattress, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. We offer the largest selection of Amish-made furniture in the St. Louis area, plus quality living room furniture from Flex Steel and Smith Brothers. We carry top-quality mattresses from world-famous brands like Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, and Chatham & Wells. Shop our Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, and Ellisville showrooms at Miller Furniture. We put the family in furniture.
Pope Chapel in Kirkwood has been providing compassionate and professional funeral and cremation services to the St. Louis community for over 114 years. Pope Chapel continues to strive to bring you, their friends, families, and neighbors, the best in comfort and support. Whether it's large services with state-of-the-art technology or small gatherings, the kind and caring family at Pope Chapel will help care for your family in your time of need. For more information, go to bopechapel.com.
The official birthplace of the toasted ravioli is
Mama's on the Hill.
And Mama's on the Hill serves the best in town. Mama's has been a mainstay on the Hill for decades and is still a family-run restaurant serving up great Italian food in a fun atmosphere. Open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, and right in the heart of the Hill at Edwards and Bischoff. Delicious catering and party rooms too.
Mama's on the Hill.
Make reservations at 314-776-3100 and 24/7 at mamasonthehill.com.
I'm Mark Cantor. Here's why you can count on Cantor Injury Law.
My name is Michelle. I'm a litigation paralegal at Cantor Injury Law, and you can count on Cantor because we are smart, honest, and hardworking.
I'm Kevin Glenn, and a partner here at Cantor Injury Law. You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit cantorinjurylaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
In April of 1996, a new kind of talk radio for the STL was born. Its name,
the Big 550 KTRS. For 3 decades, KTRS has been live and local, not to mention locally owned. Celebrating 30 years and partying all month long. And we want you to be a part of it by texting us to 84126, sharing stories, making new friends, and thanking you for supporting the Big 550 for 30 years. It's all brought to you by Outdoor Living, JBL Financial Services, HW Kia, Allen Roofing, Capital Advisory Group, AAA Home Services, Walter Knoll Florist, Under Law, Massa St. Charles, Gilmish & Sons, WS Window and Door, Neighbors Credit Union, Baldy Electric, and Morelli Tuck Pointing. This is the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. Depend on it. Depend on it. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Okay, a couple other texts coming in. I'm a principal. Parents of my teachers will call me, show up at my office. One mom snuck into the building and taught for her daughter. How about that? Here's another one. I work in HR. We had a parent call to say the pay offered to their child was too low. The child is an adult. The position was a resident physician.
Oh, no.
A physician, a doctor.
Yeah. And then back to that principal, one parent of a teacher wanted me to adjust the calendar so her daughter could have time off for a family trip.
The whole school calendar?
Yeah, so
Sure, why not?
It looks like this is a little more prevalent than we even thought. Let's see how traffic's moving along. It's 3:30. Captain Paul, what are you seeing?
Heidi, no accidents, just the usual slow spots. 64 West is congested from Kings Highway to McCausland and in Lake St. Louis. 64 East slows down around 170. 270 South is heavy from Olive down to Manchester. We have a stalled vehicle on the 70 East on-ramp from Jennings Station. And in Illinois, 64 East is running slow from 255 to 157. This traffic report is brought to you by Neighbors Credit Union. If you're ready to upsize, downsize, or first-time home buy, turn to the team at Neighbors Credit Union. At Neighbors Credit Union, you'll find great rates, expert advice, and personalized friendly service throughout the entire home loan process and beyond. That's just what you'd expect from a great neighbor. Apply online today at neighborscu.org. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, Friday marks the 95th anniversary of the opening of the Empire State Building. Glenn Kurtz has written a new book celebrating the men who erected the building. We're so happy to have an opportunity to talk to him about men at work, the Empire State Building, and the untold story of the craftsmen who built it. Thanks for joining us, Glenn.
Thanks so much for having me.
So how many men worked on the Empire State Building? Do we have a number?
Well, that's kind of a trick question because the men who worked on it were contract workers, so they were sometimes there for a week or 6 weeks or a month, but not for the entire time. So over the course of its construction, there were probably 10,000 men who worked on the building at some point or other. But on any given day, I think the highest number was about 3,400.
Wow. And there was never a list of workmen? Like, how did you start researching this book?
Well, that's the funny thing. When I started out thinking, well, I want to know who built the Empire State Building. And if you ask any of the sources or if you go to ChatGPT and you ask that, you come up with the owners, the architects, the general contractors, the businessmen, in other words. But I wanted to know the guys who actually had tools in their hands. And yes, as you say, there was no list ever compiled of the men who worked on the building. So there were two things that I did. The big surprise for me and the kind of big discovery was that in the lobby of the building, there's a plaque that has the name of 32 men who won craftsmanship awards for their work on the building. And so that was where I started.
So let me ask you where it started. When they first had the idea, 100 stories or whatever it is, did people go, that's insane, why are we doing this? Was there any pushback, or was it a full speed ahead, gung-ho, everybody?
Well, it was full speed ahead. I mean, the Empire State Building was kind of the culmination of a decade of racing, competing skyscrapers. And in fact, the Chrysler Building and the Manhattan Company Building, which were built the year before, were in a very highly publicized race to see who would end up to be taller. The Empire State Building came in just a few months after the Chrysler Building won that competition and overtopped them all. So no, it was sort of part of the boom of the 1920s. Gotcha. How high can we build?
And you look at the Burj Dubai or the Burj Khalifa, whatever it's called now. It's in the middle of the desert, and it's the tallest building in the world, and it looks awkward because nothing else around it even matches it. Is that what the Empire State Building looked like in 1920s in Manhattan?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the Empire State Building was a little bit isolated because it's in lower Midtown on 34th Street, and there were not a lot of other tall skyscrapers around it at the time. So it absolutely towered. It looks like the Burj Khalifa in its neighborhood. But down on Wall Street and a little bit farther uptown, there were more tall buildings. It was just something of a fluke, not only of the economics of the different neighborhoods, but also the geology. That they hadn't built a tall skyscraper right there. Also, to build a building that tall, you need a pretty big plot of land, and that's hard to come by in New York City.
So, Glenn, were there any women working on the building?
Well, that's one of the interesting things, because we always ask, how many men worked on the Empire State Building? But yes, there were women. Their contributions, like women in general, tend not to have been recorded. The one woman I was able to identify who worked for the building, on the building, was a nurse. Because they had an on-site infirmary for men who received sort of minor injuries. But then also people often ask about how many men died constructing the Empire State Building. And that also is a bit of a trick question. I count 7 men who died during construction, but 1 woman was killed, a bystander who just was crossing the street at the wrong moment and got struck by falling debris.
Wow. I'm going to assume most of the men working on the Empire State Building were immigrants at the time.
Many of them were, again, because there's no complete list of them. It's impossible to say what percentage of them were immigrants, but of the 32 men whom I was able to identify and sort of trace their histories, as well as a handful of additional men who aren't named on that plaque, yes, the majority were immigrants, and some of them quite recent. There was a young man named Ferruccio Mariuto, who won the Craftsmanship Award for terrazzo work, so for the the marbling in the floor.
Yeah.
He had been in the country less than 2 years. Others were were also recent immigrants, but who had been in the country for 8 or 10 years. A couple who had come at the turn of the century. And one of the men who won these awards was also distantly related to President John Adams.
That's cool. Engineering is the 8th wonder of the world. And as we just saw of this Artemis mission to space, something we've never done before or never even tried went off without a hitch. When you build the Empire State Building for the very first time, is it all engineering ahead of time, or are they kind of just making up new rules as the stories go up?
Well, I mean, like NASA, you want to make sure that it's going to work because there's a lot of money and a lot of people's lives at stake. So, no, the engineering of the Empire State Building was extremely well understood. I mean, if you were going to build that exact same building today and engineer it according to today's principles, you would probably use much less steel. In some sense, by our standards, it's overbuilt. There's much more steel in it than would be considered necessary today, but according to the understanding of the time and the engineering of the time, it was absolutely understood. There was, in fact, one of the famous architects of that era, Ralph Walker, wrote an article, "How high can it go?" And he said, according to the engineering and the standards that we have and the tolerances for the steel, we could probably build something that was 7,000 feet tall.
That's the best stat I ever heard.
And how tall is...
It was crazy, of course.
Yeah. How tall is the Empire State Building?
Well, so when it was built, they built it as 103 stories. So it was about 1,250 feet, I think, at the time. But in the late 40s and early 50s, they put in antennas on top, the very sort of pointy spires that you see at the top of it now, and that added an extra couple of hundred feet. I think now it's comes in at about 1,500 feet.
Okay. So Bob put 4 more on top of it.
Yeah, there we go. So were you able to find... Let me back up. Building in that era in New York City and other big cities, the high steel workers amaze me. To me, because the safety standards were not the same. These guys appeared to be fearless. Do you have any stories of those people?
Well, of course, this is in pre-OSHA days. You look at, there's not a hard hat in sight, and there were no harnesses. So yeah, these men were doing very, very dangerous jobs, and there was very, very little safety regulation. That was the responsibility of the contractor. It wasn't government mandates. So these men were performing very dangerous work. And with extraordinary courage. So yes, of course, the first question that journalists asked the ironworkers at the time is, aren't you afraid to be up there so high? And the responses from the men were generally kind of laconic. They would say, well, look, first of all, it's my job, and you get used to it. But of course, they had to have some kind of psychological and physiological predisposition for that kind of work. They're walking on a 4-inch wide beam, 1,000 feet above the street.
Unbelievable.
So,
remind me,
extraordinary courage.
What did the Empire State Building house in the beginning? What was it being built exactly for?
Well, that's a great question. And in fact, because it was conceived of in the last months, literally, of the Roaring 20s, but it was built during the first year of the Great Depression, I think their imagination for what it was being built for was different from the reality. And actually, on opening day, it was 23% occupied. They had a very hard time getting leases for it because the economy had crashed. But unlike, for example, the Chrysler Building, which was built by a corporation and, in fact, personally by Walter Chrysler, and it would house the headquarters of Chrysler, but also as a regular commercial skyscraper. The Empire State Building had a much broader sense of what it was for. It was for business at the time. And so it was a wide mix of businesses that occupied it. I think they had hopes that it would become a headquarters building for major corporations. But by the time it was opened, the economy wasn't strong enough for people to want to do that. Now, of course, it's become what they had imagined it would be.
And Heidi's right. I mean, the Chrysler Building, as you mentioned, even in the building of it, there's radiator caps and hubcaps and nods and winks to cars and everything. But the Empire State Building, named after the Empire State, why is New York called the Empire State?
That's a great question. And I'm not sure I know the exact answer to it.
But it is named after the state motto.
The state motto, which is Excelsior, which means ever higher, of course, very appropriate.
Oh, how about that?
I think that you're right that the Empire State Building, very self-consciously, whereas the Chrysler Building was very associated with Walter Chrysler and the Chrysler Corporation. I think that the men who built the Empire State Building had this grander vision. And from the beginning, they conceived it as the tallest building in the world, and they understood that it was going to become a great symbol of America, not just of a particular corporation, but of the country. And I think that it retains that symbolism, which is one reason why I feel it's so important that when we think of it, we don't just think of the, famous businessmen who were associated with it, but we remember that it was built by ordinary guys, and that their jobs were to go and construct under dangerous circumstances this, sort of national landmark, that their work should be just as represented in what we imagine the Empire State Building as the owners.
Yeah, we're talking to Glenn Kurtz, who's the author of a new book, Men at Work, the Empire State Building, and the Untold Story of the Craftsman Who Built It, because Friday is the 95th anniversary of the opening of the Empire State Building. You kind of touched on it, but this is more than a tall building. What does the Empire State Building truly represent?
Well, I think to some extent that's in the eye of the beholder, but in my reading of it, it really stands for the rising of American power. It opened in 1931, and the coming out of the First World War, Europe had devastated itself. America was the new global power, and I think that there was this kind of youthful sense of our place in the world as a nation, that we were rising to the world stage, and that this was our, the skyscraper was the symbol of American modernity and American power in the new 20th century.
Did they have to make any special repairs after King Kong climbed up there? I'm sorry. It was a great interview, and I had to ruin it. I apologize.
No, that's all right. Of course, they did have to repair in 1945. There was that famous bomber crash.
Oh, yeah.
A B-24 bomber
Yes.
struck the building. It got lost in the fog and hit the building. Fortunately, it was on a Sunday, and it wasn't full of people working.
Amazing
I
story.
think 11. Yeah.
Did the plane
But
go?
it stood the test of time.
Did the plane nick the building, or did the plane go
No,
into
it crashed right into it.
Where'd all the
but it did
debris
not bring
go?
it down.
I don't understand how it could survive a direct hit like
Steel?
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
overbuilt.
Steel. Very, very. The steel construction, the sort of cage-like structure of its internal steel frame, was very secure. And of course, the plane was much smaller than contemporary.
Yeah. And then to Bob's point, at the top of the building, was it really a docking station at one point for blimps?
Well, that was the idea. They imagined that this was in the pre-Hindenburg days. They imagined that Zeppelins would be the new great form of transoceanic travel. And they were serious enough to commission a study first, physically to see if it was possible to dock something that large,
Wow.
in the middle of Manhattan, but then also legally whether it was even, allowed to bring something like that. But it never happened, of course. And today I kind of liken it to like putting, I don't know, a Starship launch pad on the roof of your building. It was like saying, oh, we are the future, right?
Yeah.
We are the most modern thing around. We're looking up.
So
to
interesting.
what comes next.
Well, you can learn more about these working class men in Men at Work, the Empire State Building, and the untold story of the craftsman who built it, which is now on store shelves. Thank you so much, Glenn.
Thank you for having me.
We joke about those being ties, but there is a building on Grand near the Fox that had a couple of docking stations for blimps. I don't know if it was ever used or if it's kind of the same idea here.
I did not know that. I
But,
know
yeah,
the building you're talking about.
It has
Yeah.
that up above, and I don't remember what building that is, but it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsteaders, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
It's the HW Kia Comedy Club.
A lot of people are suffering from gas pains right now. No, not that gas. The kind you get when you pull up to the pump. You look at the price and your wallet says, enough already. I mean, the last time I filled up my car, the pump asked if I wanted to finance it. But the cure for gas pains? HW Kia. You can drive a new 2026 Kia Sportage Hybrid, 43 miles per gallon combined, plus get 0% financing for 48 months and make no payments for 6 months. Credit giving you cramps? Nobody works harder to help get you approved than HW Kia. HW Kia, the cure for gas pains and the best Kia buying experience in the Lou. Manchester Road in the heart of West County, HWKia.com. And remember, Big D wants to see ya in a Kia.
Kia finance to well-qualified buyers. 2083 to 1000 finance plus tax, title, license, and admin fee. Ends 4/30/26.
With over 30 years of experience in top-quality senior living, McKnight Place Assisted Living knows how to help its residents live fulfilling lives. The professional staff gets to know all residents and their families. McKnight Place Assisted Living has become known for its high-quality amenities, personalized services, and expert care. But its history of making people a priority is what really sets it apart from many other senior communities. That starts with the residents and extends to their loved ones. 314-993-3333 or visit them at mcknightplace.com.
Kick off the season with a winning team. Choose Hackett Security to watch your home while you're watching the game. Hackett Security has a system to meet every budget. They are a locally owned national security company with on-site 24/7 UL listed monitoring. Visit HackettSecurity.com or call 314-432-4200. Who will be watching your home while you're watching the game? Hackett Security. They're looking out for you. 314-432-4200. HACKETT Security.com.
Hey, Heidi Glaus here, asking you to join us weekly as we present the KTRS Book Club, presented by the St. Louis County Library for readers of every generation. Books transport us anywhere our imagination wants to go. They are absolutely magical. The KTRS Book Club will introduce you to local and national authors, events, and special programs presented by the St. Louis County Library every week from 3 to 6 right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
This is Michael Baldy, president of Baldy Electric. On behalf of myself and my employees, we want to congratulate KTRS Radio on 30 years of broadcasting excellence. You are truly the talk of St. Louis. And to the loyal listeners, thank you for reaching out and letting Baldy Electric help you with your electrical needs.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Somebody on the text line say, I believe it is the Continental Building. Bob Ramsey was looking it up at the same time, and we all agree that was indeed the building. It is already about 7 minutes before 4. Let's check in with Captain Paul, see how traffic's moving.
Heidi, no accidents despite some rain in the area. 64 West is congested from Kings Highway to McCausland and from Clayton Road to Spady. 64 East slows down at 170. 270 South heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. We have debris on 64 West past Lake St. Louis Boulevard blocking the right lane. There's a stalled vehicle on 44 West before Big Bend and another on 270 South at Gravois. And in Illinois, 64 East is running slow from 255 to 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, it looks like there is more fallout with the Iran war, with the UAE leaving OPEC. Jordana Miller, ABC News correspondent in Jerusalem, joins us with the latest. I mean, what does this really say?
First of all, I think it was a surprise announcement, sent kind of shockwaves through the region. And by the way, you know, the United Arab Emirates not giving a lot of lead time, right? By Friday, they're out of OPEC. And it looks like the Emirates were motivated by, they've been disgruntled for some time with OPEC, but given that everyone's had to slash their production of oil because of the war and the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, it looks like the Emiratis moved in a moment when there's already a lot of disruption. There isn't going to be a huge short-term impact, but the UAE leaving OPEC means that first, they produce about 3.5 million barrels of oil a day. They were among the highest of the OPEC, of the consortium that made up OPEC, right? There was the Saudis, the Iraq and Iran, and then the UAE was usually number 3 or number 4. But now the UAE will have the freedom to produce more oil per day, up to 5 million barrels. Their production was capped at 3.5 under OPEC, and they'll have freedom to sell that in ways that they couldn't under OPEC. So it looks like they're making a move to have more independence and freedom with their oil exports.
Jordan, it's interesting. You're right about the timing of it. Maybe all those things are absolutely true, but could it also be an opportunity for the UAE to say, now is our chance to not just run our show, but be a power player?
I think so. I think we've seen the UAE break away from, the region in important ways over the last several years. I mean, one big example is joining the Abraham Accords and signing those normalization deals with Israel, right? Yep. And, there was a really important story over the weekend that got lost a little bit because of the news. First of all, because of the attempted assassination of the president in Washington, right, at the press event. And because President Trump pulled the team from coming to Islamabad to Pakistan. But there was an important story this weekend about that came out that the Israelis actually provided the UAE with an Iron Dome, and they sent Israeli troops to the Emirates to help defend the UAE from Iran, right? That's an extraordinary story, one that people couldn't even have imagined, right? Even with the normalization deal. So the UAE is breaking away, and it looks like they want to break away from the yoke of Saudi Arabia as well, who they've had, I think tense ties with for several years. And some of that was related to OPEC. Saudi Arabia is really the leader of OPEC, right?
Yeah.
Because they produce so much oil.
So, Jordana, who is really going to feel this, the UAE leaving OPEC?
Well, so I think what it means in the long term is that we could see more volatility in the price of oil, because OPEC is a consortium that aims to keep steady and control the price of oil based on production, right? So this could create more volatility, because it'll mean that that the UAE's oil production will not be under any kind of controlled or regulated prices or caps for production. So it'll be a win for the Emirates. For the global market, it could put more volatility into the market and possibly long-term higher prices.
Got it. Well, Jordana Miller, we always appreciate your insight. Thank you so much. And as always, stay safe.
Okay. Talk soon, guys. Bye.
I trust Pella Windows and Doors of St. Louis with my home when it matters most. They are the local experts who know our area best. For a limited time, get 20% off Pella projects. Call 833-87-PELLA or visit Pella.com/radio to learn more. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
It's Julie Buck, and it's just a good time to be alive. There's probably an Only facial right around the corner from your house. This is the best thing going. There's no gratuity, it's one price, and you get 12 different steps of a facial, including a cleanse. They even fix your brows for you. They do some dermaplaning, microdermabrasion, a chemical peel, even a little relaxing massage, some extractions, red light therapy. Then they do the microcurrent high frequency to get that collagen going, and a treatment mask. And then they give you a little hydration and SPF to be on your way. You come in as you are at the Only Facial with locations all around town, and you can't beat $125 for all of the things I just mentioned. And you can go to their website and find out about all the locations and see a video of what the experience of the Only Facial is like. I think you'll love it. Give it a try, and don't forget they have a new location in Creve Coeur right at Olive and 270, right behind the new Chick-fil-A. So go see The Only Facial or go online, theonlyfacial.com.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
30 years going strong.
We are live, local and locally owned.
This is the Big 550, KTRS St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A federal grand jury in North Carolina indicting former FBI Director James Comey on 2 counts related to an Instagram post by Comey last year showing a seashell formation with the numbers 8647. Prosecutors say 86 is slang referring to nixing or getting rid of something, alleging it was a threat to the president. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice.
ABC's Catherine Folder says the president has long called for Comey to be prosecuted.
It's important to point out that the Supreme Court in 2023 found it required an individual to show that they understood the message that they were posting. That would require a true threat. Comey has said that he didn't know what it means, and he's since deleted that post. Nevertheless, a grand jury in North Carolina has returned an indictment over that Instagram post.
King Charles delivered a rare speech to both the chambers of Congress today, touching on the shared values of both countries and America's history, he says, as a beacon for independence.
I come here today with the highest respect for the United States Congress, this citadel of democracy created to represent the voice of all American people, to advance sacred rights and freedoms.
Tonight, the White House hosts a state dinner in the King and Queen's honor. The U.S. rejecting an Iranian proposal to charge a toll at the Strait of Hormuz. The UAE announcing today it's pulling out of OPEC, the group that sets oil production. Here's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
This is sending oil prices notably higher. We now have oil above $100 a barrel. And when you think about the impact of that on consumers and businesses, gas prices have been going up now at the fastest pace in the last 24 hours. In one of the fastest pace on record. This is the biggest 24-hour increase, sixth biggest in history.
On Wall Street today, stocks ended lower. You're listening to ABC News.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
60 degrees at 4:03 with KTRS News. I'm Steve Potter. In January, former St. Louis Alderman Brandon Bosley was found guilty by a jury in U.S. District Court in St. Louis of 3 felony wire fraud charges and 1 count of making a false statement to the FBI. Evidence and testimony at trial showed that after an auto accident, he falsely inflated the cost of needed repairs and then lied when questioned by the FBI. Today, Bosley was sentenced to 16 months in prison for insurance fraud and lying to the FBI and ordered to pay restitution of more than $6,200 to the insurance company. TV and film actor John Goodman grew up in Afton and was one of the original investors here at KTRS Radio. Yesterday, he was back in St. Louis and appeared on The McGraw Show.
I'm going down to Springfield, Missouri for the 100th anniversary of Route 66, and I'm intimately familiar with Route 66 because I used to ride my thumb down there to go to college.
Goodman studied theater at what is now Missouri State University, and Governor Kehoe will also be in Springfield on Thursday to launch the highway's centennial celebration. A St. Louis man is charged after a crime spree in both Missouri and Illinois. 35-year-old Jesse Williams is accused of robbing a Phillips 66 in Alton on Sunday and minutes later attempted to break into another business where he was arrested at the scene. Police say the car he was driving had been stolen earlier from Hazelwood, Missouri. Williams is being held in custody pending a detention hearing. Missouri schools are facing a budget shortfall.
The Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education requested $190 million more this year to fully fund the education formula for fiscal year 2027. However, current state budget bills in the General Assembly do not include the additional requested funding. Missouri lawmakers must send the proposed state budget to the governor by May 8th. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
And a longtime director of the Missouri Botanical Garden has died. Dr. Peter Raven passed away Saturday at the age of 89. He was named director in 1971 and then added the joint title of president and director in 2006 before he retired in 2010. A celebration of life ceremony will be held at the Botanical Garden at a later date yet to be announced. This KTRS Business Minute brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Missouri's Attorney General is suing Dollar General. The lawsuit alleges deceptive pricing practices at the retailer. Inspectors visited 147 Dollar General stores across Missouri to price check items and found that more than half of the stores failed inspection. Now the markets brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk and Retirement Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. At close, the Dow down 31 points at 49,136. NASDAQ down 223 at 24,663. And the S&P 500 down 35 at 7,138. Now let's send it to Paul for KTRS Sports and Traffic.
Steve, after snapping their 4-game losing streak with a 4-2 win last night in Pittsburgh, the Cardinals and the Pirates play Game 2 of their 4-game series tonight. In the win last night, the Cardinals didn't have their first base runner until the 7th inning and scored all of their runs in the 9th. Meanwhile, the Cardinals were moving to a 6-man pitching rotation with the addition of Hunter Dobbins from AAA. Dobbins was acquired from the Red Sox this past offseason as part of the Wilson Contreras trade. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. 64 West is congested from Kings Highway to McCausland. 64 East slows down around 170. 270 South is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. There's a stalled vehicle on 44 West before Big Bend, and another on 270 South at Gravois. And in Illinois, 64 East is running slow from 255 to 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our forecast calls for an 80% chance for more rain tonight, an overnight low in the low 50s, mostly sunny tomorrow with an afternoon high around 66. At 4:07, cloudy skies, 60 degrees at the Gold Tower at Westport. Steve Potter, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Can I get serious for a moment? Something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is my front yard and taking care of your front yard. Because when you drive by someone's house and it's full of weeds, you think to yourself, oh man, it's very, very simple. You know how much I love to pretend to be a yard dork. You know what I use? Fertilome. I go to fertilome.com and I type in my zip code, and a whole host of local independent lawn and garden dealers show up. I buy the crabgrass preventer plus lawn food. It's the spring application. I get it down on my yard as soon as possible, and that greens up my yard and keeps the weeds away. So it makes me look like I know what I'm doing. But really, all I'm doing is getting Fertilome and putting it on my front yard. And that will take care of my yard for many, many, many weeks, and it go a long way to having the greenest yard in the block. So this spring, you want to green up your yard and get rid of the weeds? It all starts at Fertilome or fertilome.com.
Hi, it's Frank Cusimano inviting you to join me for the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to interview some of the biggest names in sports and have our opening monologue. That's the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. Frank Cusimano asking you to join me this Friday from 10 a.m. to noon in the heart of Florissant at the historic Hankey's Tavern. We will be broadcasting live from 10 to noon as we preview the City of Florissant and the Valley of Flowers Festival. We will hear from the owners of Hankey's and learn more about everything they have going on. That's this Friday. Come by and try the world-famous Smash Burger platter at historic Hankey's Tavern.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our headlines for this Tuesday afternoon, April 28th, Shaboozey to perform at the Factory later this year. Award-winning artist Shaboozey announced his new tour, dubbed the Outlaws Never Die Tour, earlier today, and he'll be stopping by the Factory in Chesterfield on September 16th. This will follow the release of a new album, The Outlawed Cherry Lee, and Other Western Tales on July 31st. Tickets go on sale Friday at 10 a.m.
I don't believe I know this artist's
Shaboozey?
work.
Everybody in the bar getting tipsy.
Oh, you know the song. It was played over and over, and Josh complained about it all the time, which is why I'm announcing this. Yes.
I don't care for it at all.
Okay.
As I said, this is exactly why.
Fair enough. You guys remember, I guess it was opening day at Six Flags, that there were a bunch of fights, teenagers fighting.
Yeah, they ended up shutting it down early, didn't they?
Everybody went home early. I mention that because this past Saturday in Orlando, at a amusement park called Epic. Are you familiar with it, Josh? You're an Orlando guy. Around 7:30 on Saturday, 1,000 teenagers or more were on the Icon Park site, according to a statement shared by the Florida Orange County Sheriff's Office. Large gathering required a substantial deputy response involving 54 county deputies.
Oh, wow.
They had to break up fights and direct the crowd out of the area. 2 deputies had minor injuries. They're fined. A total of 9 arrests out of 1,000. I guess that's not too bad. Ranging from battery of a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest, trespass without warning. Arrest ranged in ages of the perps from 13 to 16. Here's the thing that is really weird, that the sheriff's office says, and quotes, a takeover was promoted across social media prior to that Saturday evening, and the sheriff's office became aware of it, and that's why it didn't get any worse. And they urge parents to check their kids' social media for any kind of events. He mentioned that they're aware of another event scheduled on May 9th for another so-called takeover. He says, we just want people to know the law will be there in great force and have many vans ready to take you away after you've been handcuffed. So they're not playing around with this. And I would just urge, because I didn't hear anything about that being a planned event.
No, I didn't
at
either.
Six Flags, but I honestly didn't really follow up on it. But the point is, if these things are happening around the country, be aware of what your kids are doing and where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a rash of the bounce places that were having some troubles. And I know my brother, who's a police officer, they had kind of contracted out extra security.
I hadn't heard that.
For some of the bounce places.
With teenagers or?
With teenagers. And there's too many people show up all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them are really there to bounce.
See, it does sound kind of planned.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's been happening since, phones were invented, right? Everybody goes to the same party and whatever.
And then people always
and
get
the cops
arrested.
show up
Yeah.
and chase everybody out.
Back when I was a teenager, the Kirkwood high school parties
were
the best.
Off the charts.
Wow.
Really?
Off the
Okay.
charts.
Wow. So it's funny with Orlando, I've only really been once. We're going back this fall. You've got Disney, you've got Universal. Universal just has a brand new park open. But then there's a bunch of little weird offshoot.
Little special
trying to, get a nibble or a bite of the apple.
Just carve out a little piece.
Yeah, that's what this place was. I wonder what Universal or Disney would do if, somebody tried to stage a...
It costs too much.
Yeah, right.
Kids can't afford that.
Yeah, that's
so
a great
true.
point.
It's so true.
Kids aren't getting in.
Yeah. I would love to cause a ruckus, but I don't have $450.
Great point.
I'll play Shabuzi here for you, Bob, in just a second. But the Michael Jackson movie is out, and a lot of people are complaining that it doesn't tackle some of the more defining things of Michael's life, like the lawsuits or like his relationship with his father.
Oh no, it does. It does go into that.
It
That's
goes
what
into that one?
I think that's what the whole movie's about.
Overcoming the abuse.
Yeah.
Max was telling me earlier today, he said a lot of the best parts of Michael's life, the most dramatic, movie-esque parts, have kind of been cut out or neutered in this film.
Yeah.
And people are still, though, lining up to go see it. However, some people are opting to stay at home after reading reviews of people getting up in the middle of the show, during the middle of performances on screen, and doing their own performances in the aisles.
Oh, my God.
And in front of... Remember, it was the Taylor Swift movie?
The Taylor Swift movie, then Wicked.
And Wicked.
We're
and
told to not,
they were begging people, please do not sing.
Well, actually, then they started sing along. So if that's what you wanted
Special
to do, special
performances.
shows, yeah.
Someone said, I was thinking about going to see Michael tomorrow, but stuff like this makes me want to watch it at home instead. Other people are saying the opposite. There's a difference between having fun at the movies and being a stick in the mud. And people are saying that they want to go, to Heidi's point, they want to go to a screening where people do this.
I think the phrase stick in the mud just because I don't want to get up and dance and I came to see the movie. I don't know that that's necessarily fair. And Heidi, to your point, maybe planning it for those who want to do the Rocky Horror thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you know what you're getting into.
And so no, this is for moviegoers.
Yeah, I agree. If I'm there, I want, because if people are doing their own performances or up, you're going to miss some of the dialect.
Always.
Or, there's no way to catch it all. So I'm with you. I think it needs to be a special performance. I'll tell you what I am putting on my to-do list, and that is to visit Springfield, Illinois again, because the Mother Road is going to be 100. We're talking about Route 66, and people from around the world are drawn to the aura of Route 66. But I mean, talk about a great place to really take it all in. That's Springfield, Illinois, because they've got some iconic attractions. You've got like the extra large, what is his name? Like the his own Muffler Man. When you used to have the
big Paul Bunyan statues.
Yes, those are all so much fun. You got the Lauderback Giant. You've got all kinds of different things to take a selfie with. But I mean, it's just, one of the many places. I love Springfield for, of course, the Lincoln Museum and Library, which is just, it's constantly changing, and you can see all kinds of different things. You can really step back in time and get a feel for what life was like during Lincoln's time and see what he had to deal with. The thing that always amazes me, and you go through this hallway, and it's all of the different newspaper articles that they've cut out, and it's the name calling. And you guys, it's not that much different than today.
It's pretty rough.
It's pretty rough, and it's kind of crazy. But there's just so much to see and do in Springfield. And you can actually plan out your trip. If it's Route 66, you can actually go to visitspringfieldillinois.com and print out kind of an itinerary at the food, the drink. There's so much to do, and so you really need to plan it for more than one day. But it's an easy trip if you are here in St. Louis to get there and get back as well. Visit springfieldillinois.com is the website.
I don't believe I know that.
I
don't know how it's possible, Bob.
I don't either.
Well,
that honey-do list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to helping you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting, really anything at Schnarr's Hardware. They're small, they're compact, but it's that friendly neighborhood hardware store that has been the way it's been here in America for years, right? You remember when your grandfather took you to the hardware store. That's Schnarr's Hardware. The popcorn and the advice are free. So when you go to Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations in Webster and in Ladue. Don't forget about the website, schnarrshardware.com. So for all your hardware needs and that honey-do list, Schnarr's Hardware or schnarrshardware.com.
Mike Lippert here for Lisi Lumber, a family-owned company that's been serving the area since 1872. You've heard McGraw mention our knowledgeable staff, excellent customer service, and the best of woods. We're now producing and delivering custom prefabricated trellises, pavilions, and pergolas. Union-made, union-delivered. Homeowners and do-it-yourselfers are going to love these. Got an idea? Send a sketch and some dimensions and we'll take care of the rest. For the best of woods and prefabricated outdoor dreams, call Lisi Lumber 234-0105 or LisiLumber.com.
Hi, I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I want your fixer-upper home. It's crazy to spend a ton of money fixing it up when I will pay you top dollar right now. I don't even care what condition it's in. Your trash is my treasure. No inspections, no contingencies, just cold, hard cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's Mike Robinson, 314-283-0867, or at ROBANGproperties.com.
Worldwide, Technology Raceway is the only track in America to host a NASCAR event, an IndyCar event, and an NHRA event. The Raceway features a full schedule on their drag strip, oval track, and Gateway Kartplex. For full schedule and ticket info, go online to www.traceway.com. The track, under the leadership of owner Curtis Francois, continues to upgrade the race experience for fans who come from around the country. For tickets, go to www.traceway.com.
That's www.traceway.com.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA-certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
Attention KTRS listeners, Appliance Discounters has a deal for you. Shop now and receive an instant 5% rebate off your next appliance purchase. 5% instant savings off their already low prices. And you can receive other factory rebates, some up to $1,500 direct from the manufacturer. Huge savings, locally owned, next day delivery, 18 months interest-free financing. Appliance Discounters with 6 area locations or online at theappliancediscounters.com.
Hi, I'm Mayor Tim Lowry with the City of Florissant. Coming up May 1st through the 3rd is the Valley Flowers Festival, a beloved tradition in the City of Florissant. This year, in partnership with the City of Florissant, the Valley Flowers Committee, the Knights of Columbus, and several local non-for-profit organizations, we're excited to announce that all festival activities will continue to take place at the Deshane Home Association. This year's theme is Route 66, 100 Years of America's Main Street. For 100 years, Route 66 has been more than just a road. It's been a symbol of adventure, connection, and American spirit. Join us as we reminisce and celebrate the ways it has helped us connect. As always, we're excited for the Grand Parade and Queen Crowning on Sunday. We can't wait to see you and your family. We are Florissant Strong. For more information, go to www.florissantValleyflowers.com.
Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at amazonbusiness.com.
Frank Cusimano and Jill Farmer, weekdays 10 to noon, right here on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
The St. Louis Post-Dispatch is doing a 6-part editorial series about saving downtown, and we wanted to know more. So we called Kevin McDonald, the paper's editorial board editor. Thanks for joining us, Kevin.
It's McDermott, and thank you.
Oh, McDermott, I'm so sorry. How many people are on the editorial board?
There's 5 of us total. There's myself, the Kevin McDermott. I'm the editor of the page. There's Ian Queso, who is the publisher of the Post-Dispatch, and then we have community board members Antonio French, Lynn Schmidt, and Janet Y. Jackson.
Got it. And so when you do a series like this, do you guys all get together and say, look, we're going to tackle this? How does it pan out?
Yeah, that's actually exactly how it happened. It was near the end of last year. We kept seeing these stories about all the problems that downtown was having. I happen to live downtown, so I'm personally, I know personally about that. And we thought, what can we do to spark the conversation? We realized we hadn't really seen a comprehensive analysis of what the problems are and what the possible solutions are. And so we decided to dive in. We interviewed the mayor and police chief and others together as a board. I did the research and writing on the thing with, back reading from the board members and taking their advice. And we feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
It launched on Sunday. It's going to run Tuesday through Friday, and then we're going to have our final piece next Sunday, which we will make many specific recommendations about what can be done.
Well, I have 2 stories in front of me. Let's start with downtown is safer than you think. No, really. And I love the no, really. Share some numbers on crime in downtown, because I live in the city as well, and I always say it's not as scary as people make it.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. And as a matter of fact, there was only 2 homicides in all of downtown west corridor, and it almost depends on how you define homicide. Some people are arguing there was only one, but people are shocked when they hear that because they think of it as, a shooting gallery down here. It's really not. But that perception of crime and chaos is a big part of the problem. That's one of the things that the city really has to battle.
Where is the crime, Kevin?
You mean citywide?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's certain neighborhoods, and our own Josh Renault and some other reporters have tracked this pretty well. But I mean, the north side obviously has its problems, and there's other areas of town as well. But downtown west, which is the corridor that we were focused on, out of this almost 80 neighborhoods citywide, really is not the epicenter of crime that people think it is. Not at all. And there's a lot of reasons for that misperception, but that's one of the things that we're hoping this series will help, alleviate.
Let me throw out a perception and then hit me with the reality of it. It feels like a little while back, Wash Avenue had become a little bit dangerous, and now it's almost too quiet, and some businesses have gone. What's the reality of Wash Avenue today?
Well, it is too quiet. That is a reality. That's not just a perception. When I say quiet, I mean, people obviously don't like chaos, but there's not enough activity to draw in the kinds of residents who want an urban lifestyle. Part of the problem is that, as you say, a lot of businesses have moved out. The problems began before the pandemic, but the pandemic had a lot to do with it. That killed off a lot of the storefronts. It created this emptiness downtown that drew people who like to hot rod around empty streets.
Yeah.
We really did have a crime and chaos problem in 2020 and a little after that. But you're right. Now the problem is not so much that it's chaotic, but that it's kind of comatose.
So do we have a plan? Do you guys sit around and say, look, this is what needs to happen?
We've got a lot of recommendations, and I'm not going to roll them all out right here because we want people to read our final
Of course.
But as we've already said, and as we'll be saying in tomorrow's, there's a lot of things. Some of them are obvious. We absolutely need not only more police, but a much more visible police downtown. And we need the police to focus not just on the big crimes. The thing that contributes to all the sense of chaos is people speed around, they're screeching their cars around, there's aggressive panhandling, there's unruly crowds sometimes at night. These things can't just be ignored. I mean, it's easy to say, hey, as a city, we've got more serious crimes to worry about, but letting those things go contributes to a sense of chaos that in turn contributes to people not wanting to live here or start businesses here.
Right.
Yeah, there's a moment where we talk about St. Louis sometimes being its own worst enemy. I always like to pretend I'm a sociologist, and it is true about Missourians is, why would anyone come here? Why would anybody do that? But if somebody from the outside criticizes us, we want to fight them. So, but that's a real thing, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. No, it is. And I tell you, that was well put. St. Louisans are their own worst enemies. One of the things we're completely addressing and confronting in this series is basically the story that St. Louisans tell about downtown. It's not accurate. It's not flattering. And it's one of the biggest impediments, because when you hear people who live in our city say, oh, don't go downtown, you don't want to go there. What does that tell somebody who's thinking about moving there or is thinking about opening a business? That's one of the things we really need to attack, is these misperceptions, and try and, I guess, win over our own region about the importance of downtown.
Kevin, I'm so curious what the rest of the week is going to hold, what your recommendations are going to be as the editorial board, and who you're sharing them with. So maybe we can get you back on another time or two, or maybe next week. But did you say you live?
Anytime.
Yeah, go ahead.
I could call anytime. Yeah.
Okay. Did you say you live downtown?
I do. I'm on Washington Avenue, right off 14th Street.
What is the reality these days of downtown St. Louis? Is the Culinaria there? Is there a grocery store? Is there a DGX, Dollar General, where you can go and pick up something? Walgreens, CVS. Are there the creature comforts that make living downtown sustainable?
There are more of those things than people realize. For example, the Schnucks is still open. The Culinary is open. I was just there today. There is a pharmacy in the Schnucks. However, I mean, there used to be a great little bodega across the street from me, the Washington Avenue Post. That shut down, if I remember right, during the pandemic. The bar and grill up the street, in fact, both of them have closed. We had, and you can, you can get a great meal at Sentai, the Thai place over on, I think, 10th Street, but there's fewer of those options than there used to be in terms of just a good sit-down eating downtown. And that's, people who are interested in a downtown lifestyle, they want that stuff.
Absolutely.
They don't want to move somewhere where it looks like there are no people and there's nowhere to go and nothing to do. I don't know. I'm not going to say you can't, for example, shop for clothes downtown. There are a few little places, but boy, it wouldn't be anyone's first choice probably just because there's not that many options.
And I don't want to, nothing's impossible. We could do anything. We can move mountains. But when you look at something like the Railway Exchange Building, which used to house the famous bar and all that stuff, it is not a 21st century building. Is there any way to bring that back up, or should that just be raised and start all over?
We're hoping the city follows through on its plan, which is to take it over via eminent domain and get some private developers in there to save it and to use it for something similar with the AT&T building, where there is a plan underway. And I can talk about this because we've already reported on it, and it's rolling in Jefferson City. There's major legislation that would incentivize developers to transform former office space into residencies. It's custom made for a project like the AT&T Tower, which has all these 44 floors of empty former offices. Think about what a cool living arrangement that would be for people if they could move into that big, cool looking tower. But you need money on the front end, and the state hopefully will pass this legislation and help incentivize these developers to go ahead and finish that and other projects around the region.
Yeah, we're talking to Kevin McDermott, who is the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Editorial Board editor, and they're doing a 6-part editorial series about saving downtown. The other article I have in front of me, Downtown is in bad shape. We can't afford to do nothing about it. You guys, as you mentioned, talk to developers, city officials, residents, and do most of those people have a same vision? Do most of those people agree on what needs to be done?
That's one thing that we found is no, they don't.
Really?
And I will be careful about saying this because I don't want to criticize them. What we have found is that all these stakeholders we talk to, the politicians, the developers, the people who live down here, the food vendors, we got a bartender quoted somewhere in the series, they all agree that revitalizing downtown, reviving it, saving it is urgent. But there's really no overarching consensus on how to do that. And that's one of the problems we're identifying in this. There needs the people who care about downtown really care about it, but they're not all pushing or pulling in the same direction. And that's one of the problems that has to be solved before anything else is going to happen.
And when it comes to the vacant buildings, the last thing I think anybody wants to do is give something away for free. But as a state and as a city and as a county, the region, I'd rather have somebody there than nobody there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And part of what we're doing is looking back at how this worked before. I mean, I don't know how long you guys have been here, but in the early 2000s, peaking in about 2010, the place was hopping. It was great. The population exploded. There was a lot of business here, sidewalk dining all summer. Yeah. The way they did that was in large part, again, through state incentives. They basically gave away these historic buildings so that they could be turned into lofts. And I'm sure there was a lot of criticism of that at the time, but, it turned out to be better than what had been there. And even what we have now with all the problems is still better than it was 20, 25 years ago. It's just not as good as it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on the Millennium Hotel going down and what hopefully Gateway Arch Park Foundation does? Do you think that can be the shot in the arm that we need?
Yeah, I would hope so. Having a big vacant hotel right on our riverfront vista like that is just horrifying.
Yeah,
good.
It's bad enough to say we have a vacant skyscraper, but we also have a vacant, humongous hotel complex. But yeah, that does seem to be moving, and getting the Arch involved is, I think, the way to go. That makes me feel like, this could possibly work. And that's one of the projects that is moving forward, as I understand it. But yeah, there's a lot more, and it's not just the big ones. There's a lot of smaller buildings, a lot of vacant storefronts. vacant lots in some areas of downtown. It's going to take a holistic plan that everybody can get behind, and not just people doing their own separate thing left and right with no coordination. That's one of the things we're going to be arguing.
Well, we look forward to the rest of the articles coming out. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us, and maybe we'll chat with you early next week as well.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
It is 4:36. Captain Paul, how's traffic?
Heidi, we do have an accident now. It's on 270 West at New Florissant, blocking the two left lanes with the stop and go back up to Washington Elizabeth. Estimated clearance time is 5:15. 64 West is congested from Kings Highway to McCausland and around Clarkson. 64 East slows down at 170. 270 South is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. 170 is jammed in both directions between Olive and 64. 44 West is busy from Arsenal to Laclede Station. 55 South stop and go from Arsenal to Potomac. There's a stalled vehicle on 270 South at Gravois. And in Illinois, 64 East is running slow from 255 to 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, Kevin was great, and I really do hope we get to talk to him again and find out what the full Post-Dispatch Editorial Board thinks of saving downtown. And I asked him about those creature comforts. It's very important to have those things nearby where you live. I wonder if there are any dental offices downtown.
There are. Marcia goes.
And her dental office is downtown?
Mm-hmm.
How about that? You need things like this near your house because life takes over and you want to have somebody to jump to. You don't want to drive across town. And that's why the folks over with Florissant Dental, STL Mid-County Dental, and now Lake St. Louis Dentistry are covering the north, the mid, now west. Heidi apparently has downtown covered. Mm-hmm. And maybe they'll expand south at some point, but 3 great locations now, and the brand new one being Lake St. Louis Dentistry, lakestlouisdentistry.com. Dr. Sean Landgraf is the dentist over there. Dr. Mulla is the full-time dentist out in Lake St. Louis, and if you've moved out west recently, like all of my in-laws, Heidi, are in Lake St. Louis. I don't know if you realize that.
I didn't.
And my mother and father-in-law are in Wentzville, which is like an exit away. Maybe they can go to Lake St. Louis Dentistry. I'll give them a call up right now and remind them that it's a half mile from 4064. You can find them online at lakestlouisdentistry.com, 636-333-6150. Your teeth are very important, and it's also very important to find a dentist that you trust. lakestlouisdentistry.com.
In April of 1996, a new kind of talk radio for the STL was born. Its name, the Big 550 KTRS. For 3 decades, KTRS has been live and local, not to mention locally owned. Celebrating 30 years and partying all month long. And we want you to be a part of it by texting us to 84126, sharing stories, making new friends, and thanking you for supporting the Big 550 for 30 years. It's all brought to you by Royal Banks of Missouri, Mama's on the Hill, Appliance Discounters, Altair Travel and Cruises, Lacey Lumber, Sapod GM Country, Window Depot USA of St. Louis, Londoff Chevrolet and Londoff Autoplex, Rufino Painting, Hackett Security, and Delta Investments. This is the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. Depend on it.
Heard a great story about the window store the other day. Larry Thornton, the owner of the window store, 314-739-0002 or wswindow.net, told me a story. He had a customer call him up and say that he wanted to replace his white vinyl windows with darker windows. And so, of course, Larry took care of him. So now they're all darker and sort of brown in color. Looks beautiful. They're energy efficient. There was no upselling. They're great quality windows, and Larry Thornton and the window store took care of him. That's what he does. The price is extremely reasonable, better than the national companies because there aren't the layers of middle management. The window store has been around for 38 plus years. Proud sponsor here at the Big 550 KTRS. Windows, and don't forget about doors. Doors can get really expensive real fast. That's why you want to go with a company you can trust. Installation, price, selection, quality. The window store. Window store. WSWindow.net. 314-739-0002. WSWindow.net.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life. Your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell & Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell & Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Repairing chimneys, walkways, porches, foundations, entire homes, anything to do with brick or stone, you need a tuck pointer you can trust, and that, of course, is Morelli. Morelli is a family-run business started in 1991, and they're only as good as their last customer. That's why when you check out the reviews online at MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll notice that they're actual customers who are singing the praises of Morelli. So if you need a tuck pointer, you need Morelli. 314-645-1387 or MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Spring is here. Time to think of baseball, Easter, flowers blooming, fresh mowed grass. Think about making the trip to Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant part of your weekly plan. Whether an early breakfast, midday lunch, a homestyle dinner, or a late night bite to eat, Gingham's is your home away from home 24 hours a day. Spring into spring at Gingham's Restaurant in St. Charles, 636-946-0666 or ginghamsrestaurant.com.
Let me tell you about family jeweler Lordo's Diamonds that has been a proud sponsor at KTRS for over 20 years. If you need jewelry, whether brand new diamonds, earrings, necklaces, bracelets, maybe something for the gentleman in your life, a nice new watch, or maybe something for the daughter or the son, Lordo's is where you want to go. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, a family jeweler, well-respected, well-trusted for generations here in St. Louis. Lordo's or LordosDiamonds.com.
Are you ready for tax season? Don't let the tax changes passed in the Big Beautiful Bill Act catch you off guard. Hi, I'm Jeff Azufal, Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Advisor at Capital Advisory Group and the author of the #1 best-selling book on taxes, Keep What's Yours, and my soon-to-be-released book, Keeping What's Yours, the Strategic Tax Planning Guide for the One Big Beautiful Bill. Since 1976, Capital Advisory Group has been saving our clients money year after year. Give us a call at 636-394-5524 or online at capitaladvisorygrp.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Well, Heidi and Bob, back in the day on this date, April 28th, it was 10 years ago to the day that the Rams selected the #1 overall pick, Jared Goff, as their quarterback. Now, I just looked it up. The Rams last played in St. Louis in 2015. And the very next draft, 4 months later, they picked #1 overall. Just seems very odd, the timing of it all. Almost if they, Bob, knew.
Let's make a deal.
That they were moving and they wanted to get a fresh start in their new city. That was 10 years to the day. Mutiny on the Bounty, 1789. Captain William Bligh and 18 sailors were set adrift in a launch on the South Pacific. Mutineers seized the British ship called the Bounty. I've never seen any version of this movie.
There's at least 3 movie versions.
Have you seen them?
I've seen them all. I kind of like the one with Mel Gibson best. Brando was in one. The only one, was it Clark Gable and Charles Lawton in the original? One of our listeners will be able to tell me if I'm right about that.
Is it a story of fighting back against the man? Or?
Yeah, he was according to the story, tyrannical.
Yeah.
The guys got in the South Pacific, pretty nice. They wanted to hang.
And he was like, get back on the boat.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of tyrannical, 1945, Italians executed Benito Mussolini and his mistress as they tried to flee the country. I think he was dressed as a woman.
And I believe he was hung upside down in the square, I believe.
Insult to injury. Bob, you've told me about this. 1947 on this date, 6-man expedition sailed from Peru aboard a balsa wood raft named the Kon-Tiki. A 101-day journey to Polynesia.
Thor Heyerdahl, was he the organizer? Was he on the raft, or did he just write the book? I can't remember now.
To prove that you could do it.
That the Polynesians could have come across and settled in South America.
Can you imagine being on the ocean for 101 days and not know if you're ever going to find anything out there?
Just in the just how disorienting that would be alone.
Are we even heading in the right direction? Did we do a big circle?
I know I lost the compass.
Yeah. 1963, 19-year-old Andrew Oldham saw the Rolling Stones' first performance at the Crawdaddy Club in London. He signed on as their manager the next day, and history began with the Rolling Stones.
What year?
63.
Boy, what a meteoric rise once he took over.
The Orioles set an American League record in 1988 with 21 straight losses. In 2001, Dennis Tito paid $20 million to become the world's first space tourist. He spent 8 days in orbit on the ISS.
I didn't realize that. I thought we were just doing this space travel for, since Bezos and the,
Lance Bass wanted to do it.
Yeah.
We've always thought of this $20 million number to go up there, but this guy was up there for 8 days. I mean, Katy Perry was up there for 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2003, on this date, Apple launched iTunes for Windows. Speaking of a revolution.
Absolutely.
You say you want to.
Getting your weekday started the St. Louis way. It's the McGraw Show.
It's Carl the Intern Wednesday on the McGraw Show. Someone is actually going to say that getting rid of the income tax is a good idea. McGraw will talk to that person from Show Me Institute at 9:10.
McGraw, Millhaven, Rose Dalton, and Carl the Intern. Weekday morning, 6 to 10.
Right here on your hometown station, the Big 550 KTRS.
Looking for a car? Looking for a pre-owned car? Looking for a new Chevy? Looking for a truck? You found it at Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. Londoff's been selling cars here in St. Louis for 80 plus years. He's got 2 locations, the Washington Elizabeth exit, and of course Highway 70 and Highway 79, the Autoplex. They've got great SUVs, whether it's Suburbans or Tahoes, or great economy cars. They've always got great financing deals, and for service, it's always service with a smile. Johnny Londoff. Find your next car at Johnny Londoff or Londoff.com.
Don't miss a baseball showdown at Busch Stadium when Shohei Ohtani and the LA Dodgers roll into the Lou, May 1st through the 3rd. Kick off the weekend with Friday Night Live and a must-have short-sleeve hoodie giveaway. Saturday brings a Mason Wynn bobblehead celebrating his Gold Glove Award. Then Sunday features a sleek blade collar shirt giveaway. Big names, big matchups, and big giveaways all weekend long. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotion.
This is Mason Wynn. Get your tickets at cardinals.com.
The 1-2, and that's grounded up the middle. Diving play, Mason Wynn to his feet. He throws, he got him!
What's up, Cardinals fans? Mason Wynn here. On Saturday, May 2nd, when we face the Dodgers, you can take home the Mason Wynn Gold Glove bobblehead, presented by the Shane Company. It's got my chain, my first gold glove, my whole look, just how I rock it. Plus, a few rare all-gold baubles will be randomly mixed in for 500 lucky fans. This is one you won't want to miss. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
I trust Pella Windows and Doors of St. Louis to help improve my home when it matters most. It's not just Pella's high-quality windows and doors. It's the local experts who know the St. Louis area so well. For a limited time, get 20% off Pella projects or 0% no payments, no interest if paid in full within 24 months. Call 833-87-PELLA or visit Pella.com/radio to learn more. 833-87-PELLA or Pella.com/radio. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
When you're injured, everything changes. The stress, the bills, the uncertainty. One call changes it all. Underlaw.
They step in, they take on the fight, and they don't back down. You can count on Onderlaw. Onder wins.
At Onderlaw, they've recovered over $5 billion for their clients. No surprises, no hidden fees, just results.
Online at onderlaw.com. Onder wins.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
It's about 8 minutes before 5 o'clock. Captain Paul, how's traffic?
Heidi, the roads are getting busy thanks to the rain. A crash on 270 West at New Florissant is blocking the 2 left lanes with a stop and go back up to Washington Elizabeth. Estimated clearance time is 5:15. 64 West is congested from Tower Grove to McCausland and around Clarkson. 64 East slows down at 170. 270 South is heavy from Page all the way down to Gravois. 170 is busy in both directions between Olive and Forest Park Parkway. 70 West is congested from Birchwood to Jennings Station and at the airport. 44 West is congested from Southwest to Laclede Station. 55 South crowded from Arsenal to Gasconade. And in Illinois, 64 East is running slow from 255 to 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, James Comey is facing another Department of Justice indictment. Royal Oaks, ABC News legal analyst in L.A., joins us with the latest on that and a couple other stories. Hey, Royal.
Greetings. Yeah, James Comey's not out of trouble. You remember months ago he was indicted, but that indictment was tossed out. It's kind of a technicality, though, because the court said that the prosecutor had not been lawfully appointed to the job. So now the Trump administration is back. The DOJ is saying, you know what? We think that James Comey was threatening the life of the president by posting on social media a picture of some seashells on the beach that spelled out the numbers 86 and 47. The DOJ says 86 refers to killing somebody, 47 refers to Donald Trump. And for that, James Comey deserves to be indicted and sent to trial and maybe to prison if convicted.
Royal, do you think that the timing on this is odd, considering there was another attempt on the president just over the weekend?
Yeah, I think it all ties together. Donald Trump certainly is saying that, hey, I should get that ballroom built on the East Room because there are national security issues. He's saying my life has once again been threatened. The problem the Department of Justice faces in going after Comey is the courts are really reluctant to criminalize free speech. And if it's a threat against the president, okay, that's illegal. But really, was it a threat? And unless there's a piece of smoking gun evidence, like an email from Jim Comey to one of his friends saying, you know, I hope somebody does something terrible and violent to the president after seeing my seashell post. In the absence of that, it could be an uphill battle for the DOJ to maintain this indictment and get Comey ordered to go to trial.
And Royal, let's talk semantics. I don't know if you've ever worked in a restaurant. 86 is like, that's where the term comes from. I could 86 the special. I didn't kill the meatball salad, sandwich. I just said it's not available anymore. How do you get kill from 86?
Yeah, I have dined in several restaurants, but I have to confess I've never actually worked in one. The vagueness is really the heart of the problem for the Department of Justice. For them to convince a judge to allow this to go forward to trial, I think they are going to need some additional, external evidence about the state of mind of James Comey. Short of that, it's probably a tough putt for the DOJ to get this to survive.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to cause trouble for a guy they perceive as an enemy who caused trouble for them in the past. It's almost a little recess-like. And the fact that it's, pulling in the Department of Justice is a little annoying, but I get it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Trump's critics say that he does anything and everything to go after his enemies, whether it's Letitia James, the attorney general who went after him in New York, or a lot of other political enemies. But, each allegation, each indictment has to be evaluated on its own. And ultimately, even if the lower courts reject it, Trump could try to get relief from the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah. Royal, you kind of touched on this whole White House ballroom thing. Preservationists are pressing ahead with their lawsuit against President Trump's planned $400 million ballroom. Where does that stand?
Yeah, so what happened was that Donald Trump said, I want the big ballroom and I want a bunker underneath it that'll be drone-proof and explosive-proof. And over the last few weeks, there have been skirmishes in court, and basically it's a little bit of both sides in terms of winning. The courts have said, you can't build this 90,000 square foot huge ballroom unless you get approval from Congress first. Now, a trial will ultimately decide that, but for now, the courts have said no. But they've also said, but it's okay to dig the hole and work on the bunker. So it's a little bit of both sides winning. Again, the U.S. Supreme Court could theoretically get involved if Donald Trump wants to go in and say, hey, how many times do they have to shoot at me before you get it that I need some help on national security? And it isn't just the bunker, we'll be able to lock down the big 90,000 square foot ballroom as well.
Is it a tough argument when you also see the president showing up at Mar-a-Lago and golf courses to say, look, you're out here as well. Why do you really need this ballroom?
It's exactly right. That's exactly the kind of argument. I mean, Trump was at an Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Right.
He's near the octagon, so he doesn't hide in a secure location. And as a result, that's the kind of argument that is very likely to be accepted by the courts in request.
Yeah. Well, Royal, we always appreciate your take on these things. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks.
Lots of people clocking out for the day, but we've got more to get to. We're going to talk to Rebecca McIntosh. She's the president of Missouri National Education Association. There's a new report that Missouri comes in 49 out of the 50 states for the average starting teacher salary. So we'll talk to her about that and what we can do to make a difference. We'll also be joined by Kelly Meyer with News Nation, and she'll give us a report, kind of the Cliff Notes version of King Charles's visit and his talk with Congress today, which is a historic talk. That's all coming up.
You know, that honey-do list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to helping you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting, really anything at Schnarr's Hardware. They're small, they're compact, but it's that friendly neighborhood hardware store that has been the way it's been here in America for years, right? You remember when your grandfather took you to the hardware store. That's Schnarr's Hardware. The popcorn and the advice are free. So when you go to Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations in Webster and in Ladue. Don't forget about the website, schnarrshardware.com. So for all of your hardware needs and that honey-do list, Schnarr's Hardware or schnarrshardware.com.
It's Jill Farmer. Medicare is overwhelming. Parts, plans, deadlines. It's a lot. That's why so many of you turn to Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man. Ryan breaks Medicare down in plain English, helps you compare options, and make sure you're not overpaying or undercovered. No pressure, no confusion, just clear guidance from someone who actually cares. If you're turning 65 already on Medicare or helping a parent navigate it all, start with someone you can trust. For the right plan, call a Medicare man. 314-368-6808, MedicareMan,
Last year, showing the formation of shells on the beach that read 8647. Prosecutors allege it was a threat against the president.
Current FBI Director Kash Patel says his predecessor's predecessor, James Comey, threatened the life of President Trump by posting a picture of shells on a beach forming the numbers 8647.
Shortly after posting that threat, he deleted that threat and then issued an apology.
Now, nearly a year later, a grand jury in eastern North Carolina has approved a 2-count indictment, with each count carrying a maximum of 5 years in prison. Last year, a federal judge threw out another indictment that had a Virginia grand jury charging Comey with lying to Congress. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Comey, in a new video message posted on social media, says he's innocent. The U.S. rejecting a proposal by Iran to charge a toll and delay nuclear talks. ABC's Tom Soufi-Burridge is in Tel Aviv.
The Trump administration is betting that the pressure on Iran's economy, which was already in dire straits before the war, is going to be enough to really pressure the Iranians to the table and into concessions or even capitulation. And the Iranians appear to think that they still have cards to play in their stranglehold over the Strait of Hormuz. The pain that's inflicting on the world economy, pushing up energy prices and gas prices in the U.S., with the midterms just months away.
King Charles, in an address to both chambers of the Congress today, underscored the shared values of the U.S. and the U.K. ABC's Rachel Scott says the King's speech also struck a chord of unity among lawmakers.
The King faced no easy task here, addressing a bitterly divided Congress, but there was a sense of unity in this chamber that I quite frankly have not seen in a very long time. I have sat in this seat for several State of the Union addresses, and this was a sense of unity that, quite frankly, was just rare.
Tonight, the King and Queen attend a state dinner at the White House. You're listening to ABC News.
Hey, it's Jill Farmer for Premier Heating and Cooling. You know how spring works in St. Louis. One week you're running the furnace, the next week you're flipping on the air conditioner. It's weather whiplash, and your HVAC system feels it too. That's why spring is the perfect time to have the experts at Premier Heating and Cooling check things out. Their technicians go through 5 years of training, well beyond industry standards. So when they perform a tune-up, they're making sure your system is running safely, efficiently, and ready for whatever the next St. Louis weather swing brings. If your furnace or air conditioner is older or starting to struggle, Premier can help with that too. They offer financing options that make replacing your system far more manageable, and a new unit can mean better comfort and lower energy bills all year long. So whether it's a quick tune-up or time for an upgrade, call the team that knows how to handle St. Louis weather. 636-916-1122, premierheatingcooling.net. Comfort you can count on.
60 degrees at 5:03 with KTRS News. I'm Steve Potter. Yesterday, fast-moving storms hit the St. Louis region with hail, strong winds, and heavy rain. Meanwhile, the Missouri Department of Commerce and Insurance is reminding Missourians that have questions or concerns about their home insurance coverage to contact the department's consumer hotline. Former St. Louis Alderman Brandon Bosley was sentenced today to 16 months in prison for insurance fraud and lying to the FBI and ordered to pay restitution of more than $6,200 to an insurance company that he defrauded. Bosley was found guilty by a jury in U.S. District Court in St. Louis in January of 3 felony wire fraud charges and 1 count of making a false statement to the FBI. A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held yesterday morning for St. Louis County's new Mid-County Public Safety Complex in Maryland Heights. The new facility will serve as the new home for Police Precinct 2. St. Louis County Police Captain Jeremy Romo says the new complex should make it easier for the approximately 100 officers assigned there to perform their duties.
Since the Central County Precinct has existed, we've never had the opportunity to operate out of a building that was specifically designed from the ground up for law enforcement officers. Although the building at 1333 Ashby Road has served us well, the Detective Antonio Valentine building is definitely an upgrade.
The new facility is named after Detective Valentine, who lost his life in the line of duty. A U.S. naval refueling drone built in the St. Louis area has completed its first test flight.
Boeing built the drone in St. Louis County while the final assembly took place at its Mascoutah facility at Mid-America Airport where the MQ-25 program is based. During the test flight, the drone responded to ground control station commands and demonstrated autonomous taxiing, takeoff, flying, and landing capabilities. More test flights are scheduled at Mid-America Airport before the drone moves to the Naval Air Station Patuxent River in Maryland for aircraft carrier preparation. David Solomon, KTRS News.
And the Supreme Court of Missouri's Civic Education Committee has published Kids in Missouri Courts, a new coloring book designed to help children learn about and become more comfortable with Missouri state courts. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walton O Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. An event will be held tonight to celebrate the renovations and upgrades at the Ozzie Smith Sports Complex in O'Fallon. St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith will dedicate the space and throw out the first pitch to commemorate the reopening of the complex. The festivities begin at 6 o'clock this evening. And now the markets, brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk and Retirement Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. At close, the Dow down 31 points at 49,136. NASDAQ down 223 at 24,663. And the S&P 500 down 35 at 7,138. Now for KTRS Sports and Traffic, let's go to Paul.
Steve, after snapping their four-game losing streak with a 4-2 win last night in Pittsburgh, the Cardinals and the Pirates play Game 2 of their four-game series tonight. In the win last night, the Cardinals didn't have their first base runner until the seventh inning and scored all of their runs in the ninth. And City 2's Riley Lynch has been named the MLS Next Pro Player of the Match Week for Week 8. Lynch scored his third goal of the year in City 2's 2-1 win over Ventura County. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. No accidents despite the rain in the area, but plenty of slow traffic. 64 West is congested from Tower Grove to McCausland, also from 170 to Spady and in Lake St. Louis. 64 East slows down around 170. 270 South is heavy from Page all the way down to 44. 70 West congested from Bircher to Goodfellow. 55 South is crowded from Arsenal to Gasconade. And in Illinois, 64 East is running slow from 255 to 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our forecast calls for an 80% chance for more rain
Lynch scored his
overnight,
third goal.
with an overnight low in the low 50s, mostly sunny tomorrow with a high near 66. At 7 minutes past 5 o'clock, we've had some light rain. Currently 60 degrees at the Gold Tower at Westport. Steve Potter, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Can I get serious for a moment? Something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is my front yard and taking care of your front yard. Because when you drive by someone's house and it's full of weeds, you think to yourself, oh man, it's very, very simple. You know how much I love to pretend to be a yard dork. You know what I use? Fertilome. I go to fertilome.com and I type in my zip code, and a whole host of local independent lawn and garden dealers show up. I buy the crabgrass preventer plus lawn food. It's the spring application. I get it down on my yard as soon as possible, and that greens up my yard and keeps the weeds away. So it makes me look like I know what I'm doing. But really, all I'm doing is getting Fertilome and putting it on my front yard. And that will take care of my yard for many, many, many weeks, and it go a long way to having the greenest yard in the block. So this spring, you want to green up your yard and get rid of the weeds? It all starts at Fertilome or fertilome.com.
The Missouri Laborers Union and their contractors build our communities. Chances are your church, school, grocery store, or gas station was built by contractors using union laborers. They take great pride in their work and accomplishments and love to go by an old project and say, I built that. The men and women of the Missouri Laborers Union and their contractors, taking pride in building our communities. Go to buildunion.com for more information. That's buildunion.com.
Hi, I'm Mayor Tim Lowry with the City of Florissant. Coming up May 1st through the 3rd is the Valley Flowers Festival, a beloved tradition in the City of Florissant. This year, in partnership with the City of Florissant, the Valley Flowers Committee, the Knights of Columbus, and several local non-for-profit organizations, we're excited to announce that all festival activities will continue to take place at the Deshane Home Association. This year's theme is Route 66, 100 years of America's Main Street. For 100 years, Route 66 has been more than just a road. It's been a symbol of adventure, connection, and American spirit. Join us as we reminisce and celebrate the ways it has helped us connect. As always, we're excited for the Grand Parade and Queen Crowning on Sunday. We can't wait to see you and your family. We are Florissant Strong. For more information, go to www.florissantValleyFlowers.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
A new report claims Missouri ranks close to last when it comes to starting teacher salaries. Rebecca McIntosh is president of the Missouri National Education Association and joins us for a discussion. Thanks for making time for us.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Happy to talk to you.
So, Rebecca, what's the main job of the Missouri National Education Association?
Missouri NEA is the teachers union in Missouri. We represent over 45,000 educators across the state. We provide union advocacy. We do contract bargaining, member defense, professional development, local issues and organizing, everything that a union does. That's what we do for Missouri's public school educators.
And what is the percentage of teachers that are in the union? Because I know my parents were both teachers. There wasn't a union in New Madrid County.
It's hard to say. We know our numbers. We have the Missouri State Teachers Association is an association that does similar work, but is not a union. We have AFT in the cities, Kansas City and St. Louis. And then there's a handful of other groups that represent teachers. We are the big fish in the pond, but given the 70,000 teachers in the state, it's hard to know where everybody is.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk teacher pay, teacher salary, and price per student that the state spends. How often do these numbers come out? Is this something that hits every year, or is it kind of like a census where they do it every 5 years?
This is a yearly report that the National Education Association provides for all our state affiliates because we are a national union. So that happens every year. And then the Missouri NEA puts out our state information every year as well. So we collect this data and have the most up-to-date numbers year to year.
Got it. So, Rebecca, what is the average salary for a first-year teacher in Missouri?
On average, the beginning salary is between $40,000 and $42,000 a year. That's a piece of legislation that Missouri passed 2 years ago, I believe. It's going to expire in 2 years. That required states to meet a minimum beginning salary. Pros and cons to that. But on average, it's between 40 and 42.
And how does that compare to other states similar to Missouri?
Well, you will find us at number 49 in the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know my hometown that I just mentioned, they're going to a 4-day work week to attract teachers and I guess keep them at that certain pay. Is that a solution?
As an educator, I'm going to argue that it is not. Heidi, unfortunately, our students deserve better than that. They deserve full-time public schools, and that's 5 days a week with a fully qualified educator in front of them. I understand the position that our districts, especially in the rural areas, find themselves in, just for a variety of underfunded, just the economics of running our public schools and the position that we find ourselves in, unfortunately. I don't think it's best for kids. It's really not. And I think we don't have the data yet on the districts doing the 4-day work week. We have so many. It's approaching 25% of our districts. It's crazy. It's not good for kids. I'll say that every day. Yeah. And I just don't think we have is it getting the results? I don't know that teachers are making employment decisions based on the 4-day week. We're finding that teachers are working that 5th day.
Yeah,
Rebecca, my wife's in education, so I know the frustration on the financial side. Help explain to me and listeners that you're a union. Unions typically collective bargain, but every year teachers wait for their contracts to be offered. How do we balance? How does that work? Collective bargaining versus individual contracts?
Sure. Sure. Well, it is a special case in Missouri because we have a constitutional right as educators to collectively bargain. We have a court case. We went to court in 2007 and got that decision. We, as educators, are allowed to collectively bargain, and we can petition our districts to engage in that with us. We do not have legislation that requires districts to do that. And so the process is a quilt across the state of how districts are handling that. Which leads to a piecemeal kind of quilt of employment contracts and work agreements and conversations, meet and confer, blended groups and things. It really is non-standard across the state. What we do know is that our locals that we bargain with, and we have almost 100 really good contracts across the state, result in higher teacher pay, higher teacher retention, and better student results. It's just something we need to put in place for all of our districts.
Yes.
We're not there yet.
Does teacher pay get better over the years, second, third, fourth year, fifth year, 10, 15 years down the line? Does it get better, or are we still ranked near the bottom?
It is designed to do that, but we are still ranked near the bottom. You will find us 48th, 49th, depending on where in the salary schedule you look. If you look at the beginning, as early educators, very bottom, middle career, after teachers have paid for their own master's degree and things, you will rise up to 48, 47. End of career, after a 25, 30-year career, will again be 45, 46, bottom of the barrel, and even worse when you compare us to our surrounding 7 neighbors. It's a very narrow career, usually starting around 40. Most of our teachers can look forward to ending a career around $65,000 to $70,000 a year. It is the best job in the world, and there are other choices that educators make, but it is not a wide band of salary. Again, depending on where you're teaching in the state, it is wildly inconsistent.
Yeah, we're talking to Rebecca McIntosh, the president of the Missouri National Education Association. Is education still a popular major at universities? Do people want to teach?
They do. They really do. And there's so many positives about the career. It's the best job in the world. I'll say it 10 times a day. It is the job that makes all other jobs possible. However, we shoot ourselves in the foot and we make it very difficult for aspiring educators to join the profession, to have a long-term career, to support a family, to have a living wage. We make it very difficult. And unfortunately, higher education is expensive. The credentials required to continue your certification are expensive. There are a lot of roadblocks, but it is, again, the best job in the world, and we're so grateful to the educators that pick up the torch and continue to do the work. And our retired teachers, the retired teachers that stay with us even after a long career.
So true.
Come back and continue. We lean on them.
So, Rebecca, what do we do to crawl up this ladder, this ranking?
I think we have to really get serious about investing in public education in Missouri. We know just this legislative session that politicians in Jeff City are fooling around with property taxes. We're going to have income taxes on the ballot potentially in the fall. That's what our public schools are based on. It is all local effort. Those are the fundamental things. We know that we've also funded our public schools with gambling money and lottery money. That bait and switch is not dependable. We're $190 million in the hole in this current budget that they're talking about. We're siphoning money out of general revenue to go to vouchers that take public money to private schools that can turn away kids. Our public school system is based on shifting sand, non-dependable revenue sources, and it's just not sustainable. We've never gotten really serious about supporting the foundation funding formula and making real investment, not just for the students. Our students deserve that. They deserve the very best we can give them. And if you can't do it for the student reason, do it for the math, do it for the economics, workforce development, the economy of our state. We have to have a workforce and public schools that people want to come and be a part of. So whatever the reason is, the investment has to be real and it has to be substantial. We've got to get serious about it.
So where's the disconnect, though? Lay it out for us here. We vote for casino gambling in the 90s because we think the money's going to the schools. Where'd that money go? We vote for sports gambling on the promise that the money will go to the schools. And again, you say it's a bait and switch. We know how that works. But how is this actually working Why isn't the money going where we want it to go?
Those revenue streams do go to the buckets for public education. When that money comes in, the left-hand door, politicians in Jeff City, our leaders, carve out that amount off the top, out of the right-hand door. So it comes in one door and it supplants the funding that was in place in the foundation formula, and it replaces out of general revenue. It comes out of the budget.
How come we can't put this money from gambling in on top of what's already earmarked?
That's how the commercialists, that's how we sell the project. That's absolutely what was supposed to happen. It was supposed to supplement. It was supposed to be in addition, and it is not.
And so who do we hold responsible for that?
So many of our public school decisions are made at the local level. We have to get parents and community, and people have to go to those board meetings. They have to participate in our public schools and see the work that's happening, and be involved. And when the bond and levies come up, they have to support them. And when voters have an option to freeze property taxes or continue to fund our public services through property taxes, we have to support those. And then there has to be real progress made and real pressure in Jeff City to say, okay, lawmakers, we have to fund this for whatever reason, for students or for economics, for whatever reason, we have got to make this investment in the infrastructure of our state. And we have to hold our politicians and our representatives accountable to provide what our students deserve.
All right. Well, these numbers came out, and it's also, we're ranked right at the bottom in teacher pay. But what about spending dollars per student? Are we doing okay in that category?
This is another wildly inconsistent number across the state, depending on where your zip code, where your student is, and what their zip code is. They have access to different resources in different amounts. There is a base number that the state uses in the formula that every student is entitled to receive. We'll call that number X. We know in the current budget that's going to come in several $1,000s short. We've read just in the press these past few weeks that funding is going to come short, again, because of the current budget, because of the gambling money. So districts are making budget adjustments because funding they were expecting for the current year is not going to be received. And that's grossly unfair for kids that don't have access to the resources because their local property taxes can't support. They don't have the local industry. They don't have the local economy to support what every student in our state deserves, no matter where they happen to live.
Yeah, it really is an unlevel playing field when you look across the state. I mean, I'm thinking back to we had Noranda aluminum plant there that for so long, offered so many tax dollars. Well, it closed down, and that was really the only industry.
And that's what happens to our small communities, our agricultural communities, that often the public school is the largest employer.
Right.
And so it becomes the circle of, and it really does impact not just the students in our classrooms that our educators are in front of, but those are the families working in our schools, our employee support professionals that are working part-time to drive the buses and keep the lunches going, and maintenance and security guards and everything it takes to wrap around a public school to keep it successful. That's the heart of the community. And in our rural districts, it's becoming harder and harder.
And I know that we all know that we could do better in this area, but when you see 49th out of 50th, when you see we went from 41st on average teacher salary down to 48th, it's getting worse. When you see the numbers and see us on the list, it is kind of embarrassing. Are there any states that are doing it right, that are paying really good wages, that are giving monies to the public schools?
I think there are, and we can look to our neighbors. I mean, we really can. There's progress happening to our north and to our south, our east and our west. Everyone has their challenges. Public school is inherently fraught with a lot of issues that the community cares deeply about. And it's more than just the paycheck. States that are making investments in childcare or healthcare. Healthcare is a huge burden to school districts right now. So it's the ancillary services as well, not just the bottom line paycheck that our educators are getting. Bringing teachers to the table, having our educators talk with districts to be part of the conversation, to be sure students as well as educators are getting the resources they need is critical. The Illinois bargains so well with their teachers and they get good results. Tennessee is making progress with their bargaining. We can look to things that are working. We don't have to create the wheel over and over again.
Rebecca, what about retirement when it comes to Missouri teachers? Because I know, at least I feel like my parents had a great retirement. Do we at least rank a little higher in that category?
We have a fantastic retirement system, and this is a huge piece when it does come to recruiting and retaining educators in our state. We have educators that will come and spend the end of their careers with us because of our really strong and robust pension system. PSRS, peers, is a great asset to our public school teachers and educators, and we defend it strongly, but it is also hugely expensive. It is an investment that districts make and that teachers contribute to. It's a defined benefit that teachers put in that is one more thing they're paying for over a long career. It is a true value.
But it is got to be really hard to convince a 22, 23, 24-year-old, hey, if you just stick this out for 30 years.
55,
you'll be set.
You said something really important. Our emerging educators have no concept of a 30-year career. It is a different mindset, and we have to learn to make that important to educate our aspiring educators, our emerging educators, how important that is to make that early investment and to really defend that retirement and pension system. It's a true asset for us, but our teachers come and go so quickly through our classrooms. They move between districts so quickly. It's a new approach to the career that we have to be ready for and prepare them for.
Yeah. Well, Rebecca McIntosh, this has been an enjoyable conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity. Always happy to talk about our public schools.
Well, keep up the great work. We definitely need you.
Thank you very much.
Heard a great story about the window store the other day. Larry Thornton, the owner of the window store, 314-739-0002 or wswindow.net, told me a story. He had a customer call him up and say that he wanted to replace his white vinyl windows with darker windows. And so, of course, Larry took care of him. So now they're all darker and sort of brown in color. Looks beautiful. They're energy efficient. There was no upselling. They're great quality windows, and Larry Thornton and the window store took care of him. That's what he does. The price is extremely reasonable, better than the national companies because there aren't the layers of middle management. The window store has been around for 38 plus years. Proud sponsor here at the Big 550 KTRS. Windows, and don't forget about doors. Doors can get really expensive real fast. That's why you want to go with a company you can trust. Installation, price, selection, quality. The window store. Window store. wswindow.net. 314-739-0002. wswindow.net.
I'm Teresa Metz, Executive Director of Fairmont on Clayton. We are a Montessori assisted living and memory care community designed specifically for seniors and residents with Alzheimer's disease. At Fairmont on Clayton, we identify activities that foster a sense of purpose and identity for each of our residents. The Montessori approach is a focus on life skills the residents can do instead of what they can't. We're located in the heart of Clayton. It's an amazing community, one I'm sure you and your loved one will embrace. They're Fairmont on Clayton, 314-646-7600 or online at fairmontclayton.com.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
Bope Chapel in Kirkwood has been providing compassionate and professional funeral and cremation services to the St. Louis community for over 114 years. Bope Chapel continues to strive to bring you, their friends, families, and neighbors, the best in comfort and support. Whether it's large services with state-of-the-art technology or small gatherings, the kind and caring family at Bope Chapel will help care for your family in your time of need. For more information, go to bopechapel.com.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen, a moment to find your dream, or build one, a moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
Looking for a car? Looking for a pre-owned car? Looking for a new Chevy? Looking for a truck? You found it at Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. Londoff's been selling cars here in St. Louis for 80 plus years. He's got 2 locations, the Washington Elizabeth exit, and of course Highway 70 and Highway 79, the Autoplex. They've got great SUVs, whether it's Suburbans or Tahoes or great economy cars. They've always got great financing deals, and for service, it's always service with a smile. Johnny Londoff. Find your next car at Johnny Londoff or Londoff.com.
Hi, it's Frank Cusimano inviting you to join me for the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to interview some of the biggest names in sports and have our opening monologue. That's the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
Hi, it's the Medicare man, Ryan Raphael. I've been a longtime partner and have enjoyed working in the past with Jennifer Blome and now with McGraw, Jill Farmer, Julie Buck, Josh Gilbert, and the entire team at the Big 550. I want to wish everyone at KTRS a happy 30th anniversary.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Meep, meep. It is 5:30 on this Tuesday. Captain Paul, I know you said traffic was starting to get a little backed up with the rain. What are you seeing at this hour?
Heidi, it's still busy out there because of the rain. There's a crash on 64 East past Mason and another on 255 East at Lee Ferry. 64 West is congested from Tower Grove to McCausland, also from 170 to Spady and in Lake St. Louis. 64 East slows down from 170 to Big Bend. 270 South is heavy from north of Olive all the way down to Doherty Ferry. 55 South is stop and go just south of Arsenal. And in Illinois, 64 East is running slow from 255 to 157. This traffic report is brought to you by the Rockwood School District. Are you looking for a new part-time or full-time job opportunity? Consider Rockwood School District with openings for custodians, cafeteria workers, and groundskeepers with great benefits, competitive pay, and flexible hours. Apply online at rsdmo.org/jobs. That's rsdmo.org/jobs. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
I am so excited. I met a couple of new friends, Jason and Angie. They grew up in St. Peter's, and I got to tell you, sitting down, chatting with them, I have so much respect. Now, they're basically Window Depot USA of St. Louis. And what I love about them is that their parents taught them not only hard work and customer service, but about helping others. So they're constantly giving back to the community. But Window Depot USA of St. Louis, their motto is we create happy customers. Think about that for a second. I mean, Window Depot USA of St. Louis lives on one simple principle: do what's right. That's the way they treat their customers. And what I love is they say we want our customers to be treated the way we want our mom to be treated. I don't think there is a higher standard for any of us. Window Depot USA of St. Louis is part of the Window Depot network, which means they're able to offer basically the consumer triple pane performance windows at double pane pricing. I mean, any warranty issues are handled locally through Window Depot USA of St. Louis. They really are a fantastic company led by two great people. And here's one more thing that I love: the 5-star blue carpet treatment. So when they come in, they place blue runners on the floors and carpeting, and they actually have rags that they leave with you to make sure that those windows stay cleaned. But I don't know about you. I can't stand when somebody comes into work on the house and they leave this trail. They're not going to, thanks to the 5-star blue carpet treatment. So you can learn more and find out about a great 60% off deal. 636-939-4800. It's 636-939-4800. 60% off installation with low payment options or up to 0% interest for 60 months for qualified buyers. Again, you can learn more at WindowDepotSTL.com. King Charles spoke to Congress earlier today. Kelly Meyer, our White House correspondent for News Nation, joins us with the Cliff Notes. Thanks for making time for us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So this is only the second time a British monarch has addressed Congress. Did Congress invite him? How does this come to fruition?
Yeah, it was a big moment there on Capitol Hill today with the speech from the King with members of Congress in that joint meeting there. And he was invited there to speak with them today. He talked a lot about the relationship between the U.S. and the U.K. And strengthening that relationship, and all of this because of America's 250th. So he referenced that a lot. He got some laughs saying that 250 years, they consider that just the other day in the United Kingdom,
Yeah.
kind of, joking about how young the United States is compared to the United Kingdom. But he seemed to deliver that message of unity and strength in this time. And he's back here tonight for a visit at the White House for the state dinner. So we're waiting for that now.
Okay, so Kelly, set the scene for us. There was a traditional military arrival ceremony for the King?
Yeah, a lot of pomp and circumstance here at the White House earlier today when the president spoke and joined by their majesties along with the First Lady. And then they went to the King and the Queen went to Capitol Hill for that speech. And now they are really almost, getting ready to come back here to the White House for, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern here to have that state dinner. A lot of people coming in right now in attendance. There were a lot of tech leaders coming. We just saw some video of Tim Cook from Apple, as well as Jeff Bezos is set to attend. So a lot of big names coming to this dinner tonight. So certainly a lot of a festive focus on the dinner tonight and what will be on the menu, as well as who will be in attendance.
Do we know what kind of power the king even has these days over in England? I think I was pretty surprised they did one of these, no one under the age of 18 is allowed to smoke anymore for the rest of their lives bills in England, and they said they were waiting for the king's signature, which I didn't really realize that he was even still involved in lawmaking and signing documents like that.
Right. It seems more of like a ceremonial type thing here today, and that it's, he really kind of stayed away from politics in general in his speech, but he did have some hints of it in the sense of, talking about how words matter, and he did invoke previous presidents and things like that. But overall, it was more of a ceremonial kind of relationship with the sovereignty and then, the United States president here. And that was interesting to see that play out as from his perch, that he's able to kind of talk about just, his stance in the monarchy, speaking to the United States, and not just as a politician coming here. So it carries its own weight, but in a different way than as if it was, Keir Starmer coming to speak.
Yeah. So, Kelly, what do we hope to accomplish with this royal visit?
It seems to have, at least from what we saw in Congress, really seemed to unify both sides. You saw Democrats and Republicans rising to their feet there and applauding, and maybe it could bring about some unity at this time when, the relationship between the U.S. and the United Kingdom is a bit on thin ice, with the president calling out Keir Starmer in recent weeks. So maybe this could, especially with the behind-the-scenes conversations between the king and the president. The president's very fond of King Charles and his wife, so maybe this brings about some renewed sense of unity and a renewed conversation and a focus on building that relationship. At least it seemed like that from the speech on the Hill today, and really kind of bringing everybody together. But we'll see if what that ultimately ends in for this.
And this King Charles, is a particularly green king. He has a lot of environmental issues that he holds dear. Did he bring any of that up? Because this administration, not necessarily that way.
He did bring that up in his speech, which in a sense was a little political in a way, and talking about how we have to take care of that. And that was something that even a Republican congressman noted on. There were members leaving down the steps and asked about the speech, and one congressman had mentioned, he kind of had some shots at us about the environment, which he wasn't expecting, but he said overall it was a good speech. So it definitely was noticed by some members, and it was interesting that he made sure to make a point of that in his speech. So it's unclear, though, if that was brought up between the president and the king, or if that was something that was in there behind the scenes in conversations.
Very interesting. Kelly Meyer, White House correspondent for News Nation, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Royal Assent. Every bill passed by Parliament to become law needs the King's signature. However, it is largely a formality, and since 1708, no king has ever refused, or monarch, I should say, because we had multiple queens in there. No monarch has ever refused to sign a bill that was passed by Parliament.
So it is kind of just
ceremonial.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsteaders, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
You know that honey-do list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to helping you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting, really anything at Schnarr's Hardware. They're small, they're compact, but it's that friendly neighborhood hardware store that has been the way it's been here in America for years, right? You remember when your grandfather took you to the hardware store. That's Schnarr's Hardware. The popcorn and the advice are free. So when you go to Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations in Webster and in Ladue. Don't forget about the website, schnarrshardware.com. So for all of your hardware needs and that honey-do list, Schnarr's Hardware or schnarrshardware.com.
I've been asked to say a word about Allen Roofing. That's not fair. I can't say it in a word. If they just did roofs, I probably could. I would say roofs. But they can do siding. They could replace it. They could put leaf guards on. They could reattach it like they had to do for me, where my gutter kind of came away from the house. Siding issues, they carry James Hardy, the very best. They can fix that too. Basically, if it's something you could see from the outside of your home or your office, they can fix it, improve it, or replace it. Look, it's probably the biggest investment you're ever going to make. Protect it. Absolutely. And nobody does it better than Allen Roofing. Check out all the reviews online. Everybody else seems to know. I shouldn't have to tell you these things. For all of your roofing needs and so much more, Allen Roofing. Find them online at aroofing.net.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. That time of year, we are very busy. That means we're selling vehicles faster than I can acquire them. We are aggressively purchasing unique, interesting, and pristine vehicles. I love to buy Corvettes, Vipers, Porsches, and the like. We buy luxury and performance vehicles daily. Got one to sell? Call us or hop on our site. Owe money on it still? No problem. We'll make the payoff and cut you an equity check. I'll buy classics and motorcycles too. We'll even buy entire car collections. I'll come to you if it's easier. We make it quick and simple. Of course, I've got great ones to sell too. All hand-picked by me, thoroughly vetted and serviced. So if you're buying or selling, give us a call or visit our site today.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
Frank Cusimano asking you to join me this Friday from 10 a.m. to noon in the heart of Florissant at the historic Hankey's Tavern. We will be broadcasting live from 10 to noon as we preview the City of Florissant and the Valley of Flowers Festival. We will hear from the owners of Hankey's and learn more about everything they have going on. That's this Friday. Come by and try the world-famous Smash Burger platter at historic Hankey's Tavern.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's talk some entertainment news. It's becoming a new trend for celebrities to trademark themselves in the age of AI. First, it was Matthew McConaughey. Now, Taylor Swift is doing it. She filed 2 sound trademarks of her voice. One is, quote, "Hey, it's Taylor Swift." The other says, "Hey, it's Taylor." Taylor also filed a visual trademark of a photo of herself from Eras Tour. She's already dealt with her likeness being used in AI-generated images, including pornographic images, so this trademark will be her effort to fight against that. So it will be interesting. Casey Musgraves is releasing her new album, Middle of Nowhere, this Friday. I cannot wait. It includes a song with Willie Nelson, or as Casey calls him, everyone's favorite gangster great-grandpa, and then, quote, the patriarch of truth and country music. She says when she recorded with him, he did it in one take, explaining he walks in, does the take, and literally that's it. So it better work. He's like, I'm in my 90s, I'm giving you 30 seconds, and I'm out. She said he's earned that. He's a true American legend, transcends space and time. He's amazing. This was their 3rd time recording together. Their other 2 songs are You Sure from Casey's Pageant Material album, and then A Willie Nice Christmas on her very Casey Christmas.
Oh.
I love both of those, actually.
A Willie Nice Christmas.
It's actually a really cute song. Lisa Kudrow, who of course played Phoebe on Friends for all 10 seasons, revealed that she and her fellow Friends co-stars still earn $20 million every year in residuals.
Whoa.
That's more than 2 decades after the sitcom came to an end. 20.
Whoa.
20. I mean, they wouldn't have to work at all.
And there's 6 of them?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. This is kind of crazy. You were talking about Michael Jackson earlier. He has gained 5 million monthly listeners on Spotify since the biopic opened over the weekend, which is kind of crazy. And while we're on the topic, Michael owned several exotic animals. None captured the heart quite like Bubbles, the chimpanzee.
Yeah.
And somebody joked on the text line, who's playing Bubbles in the movie? I don't know if Bubbles makes an appearance or not, but Bubbles first entered Michael's life in the mid-'80s when animal trainer Bob Dunn helped acquire him from a Texas research facility. Still just a baby at the time, Bubbles quickly became a constant companion and lived alongside him at his homes and joining him on travels around the world. But as Bubbles grew older, his size and strength made it increasingly difficult and unsafe for him to remain a domestic animal. Eventually, he was relocated to live permanently with Dunn, though Jackson continued to visit him. And then in 2005, Bubbles moved to the Center for Great Apes in Florida.
He's still alive.
Apparently, which is...
Oh, my goodness.
Pretty incredible.
I looked up pictures. I mean, he's gray.
Yeah, he is a little gray around the kind of chin a little bit.
He's old.
Yeah. Couple birthdays real quickly. Penelope Cruz, my age, 52.
Oh.
John Daly is the big 6-0. Jay Leno, 76. And Anne Margaret is 85 today. That is your evening entertainment report here on the Big 550 KTRS. I got to tell you, I was just looking at something. She's a singer in Nashville. She plays at Roberts, and every time we're in Nashville, we definitely go see her. And it just said, can't wait to play Finland July 3rd. I kind of forget all the, European countries who love country music, and so many country artists go there. We went to Finland last year, and it was fantastic. And if you want to go to Finland or Portugal or Italy, Altair Travel can get it done for you. And it's not just getting it done and kind of making your life easier, which, by the way, they definitely do. But Altair can save you a little money. They have, so many different resources. They've been to so many places, so they can find you the best possible deal. But better than that, they really make sure that they work with you to kind of find the right spot. If you like kind of living in the lap of luxury, you want a fancier hotel, Altair Travel is going to work with you to find you a great deal there. Maybe you're a foodie and you're looking for great restaurants when you travel, and they can provide you a list as far as that goes. Whether you want to go and just rest and relax, maybe to a spa or just an all-inclusive beach resort, Altair Travel and Cruises has been doing this now for more than 40 years. And so they've been there, they've done that, and they can make all of the suggestions and arrangements for you. 314-968-9600 is the phone number, or go online to altairtravel.com.
Hi, I'm Mayor Tim Lowry with the City of Florissant. Coming up May 1st through the 3rd is the Valley Flowers Festival, a beloved tradition in the City of Florissant. This year, in partnership with the City of Florissant, the Valley Flowers Committee, the Knights of Columbus, and several local non-for-profit organizations, we're excited to announce that all festival activities will continue to take place at the Deshane Home Association. This year's theme is Route 66, 100 Years of America's Main Street. For 100 years, Route 66 has been more than just a road. It's been a symbol of adventure, connection, and American spirit. Join us as we reminisce and celebrate the ways it has helped us connect. As always, we're excited for the Grand Parade and Queen Crowning on Sunday. We can't wait to see you and your family. We are Florissant Strong. For more information, go to www.florissantValleyFlowers.com.
Repairing chimneys, walkways, porches, foundations, entire homes, anything to do with brick or stone, you need a tuck pointer you can trust, and that, of course, is Morelli. Morelli is a family-run business started in 1991, and they're only as good as their last customer. That's why when you check out the reviews online at MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll notice that they're actual customers who are singing the praises of Morelli. So if you need a tuck pointer, you need Morelli. 314-645-1387 or MorelliTuckPointing.com.
If it's time to replace your windows and doors, choose Pella Windows and Doors of St. Louis. Pella's trusted local experts work in your area and within your budget, backed by the most preferred window and door brand by homeowners. For a limited time, get 20% off Pella projects. Call 833-87-PELLA or visit Pella.com/radio. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Study of homeowner perceptions of leading national brands. Study commissioned by Pella 2023.
Spring is here, and so is that crazy St. Louis weather. Who are you going to trust to keep your home comfortable? Gelmish & Sons, the preferred Lennox dealer serving St. Louis since 1950. No hedge funds, no private equity firms, just a family-run St. Louis company that will do the job right from the very beginning. They've been in this space for 76 years, taking care of St. Louis homeowners. They'll service any make and any model and install a new Lennox system that will cool your home and save you money. Gelmish & Sons or GelmishandSons.com.
Stay connected with the Big 550 KTRS, streaming 24/7 online at KTRS.com or on the KTRS app.
Powered by JBL Financial.
Stream Straight Talk on Retirement every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
8 minutes before 6 o'clock, let's get one final check of traffic from Captain Paul.
Heidi, emergency vehicles are on 364 West before Arena Parkway, causing a backup all the way to Bennington. There's a crash on 64 East past Mason and another on 255 East at Lee May Ferry. 64 West is busy from Kings Highway to McCausland. 64 East slows down from 170 to Big Bend. 270 South is heavy from north of Olive all the way down to Doherty Ferry. 370 West is crowded from St. Louis Mills to 141. And in Illinois, 64 East is running slow from 255 to 157. This traffic report is brought to you by Dents Express. Drive time can be hectic with traffic, weather, and fender benders. Dents Express can help with hassle-free dent removal, minor collision repair, and hail damage repair. Free evaluations, and they take care of the insurance paperwork. They've got 2 locations on Manchester and Baldwin and in St. Charles. Dents Express, STL.com. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Great story about Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. One of the wives called up and said, hey, we need an electrician. Call Michael Baldy. And the husband said, no, I can do it. Well, the wife overrode the husband, called up Michael Baldy at 314-968-9999. Maybe she checked the website first, baldyelectric.com. So Michael Baldy came out to the house. While he was at the house, the husband says, well, since you're here, I've got 3 or 4 other jobs for you. It turned out to be an all-day affair. They took care of everything. And so, no, the husband couldn't get it done. Good thing the wife called Baldy Electric, and now the whole house is fixed because of one simple phone call to Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. Indoor, outdoor, brand new commercial building, an old Victorian home, it doesn't matter. Michael Baldy and his team of electricians will take care of you. 314-968-9999, Baldy Electric or baldyelectric.com.
Kirkwood Florist has been a family-owned florist and gift shop since 1951. For over 70 years, Kirkwood Florist has been delivering extraordinary floral experiences every day for every event. Kirkwood Florist has an award-winning design team, friendly customer service and logistics staff, and a great gift shop. They offer same-day, fast delivery to most St. Louis areas if in by noon, with fresh flowers, plants, and unique gift items. Kirkwood Florist, family-owned since 1951. KirkwoodFlorist.com.
Hey, turn the music down for 1 second. Listen, that annoying sound is probably nothing, right? That's how expensive repairs start. JJ Weatherholt here. In baseball, ignore the signs and you'll pay for it fast. Same with your car, because breakdowns don't wait until you're ready. That's why there's CarShield. They can help cover the cost of expensive repairs. When something goes wrong, you've got a plan before you're on the shoulder with your hazards on.
Don't get caught looking. Get a free quote today at carshield.com. Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
This is Mike Hackett from Hackett Security, a proud locally owned and operated business serving St. Louis since 1977. From one great local company to another, congratulations on 30 years, KTRS. Here's to many more.
Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at amazonbusiness.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Somebody on the text line said Bubbles and John Daly are still alive. I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. You guys are always funny. It's time to wrap this show up, though, with some randoms.
1953, Coca-Cola had 5 cents a bottle.
Okay.
They wanted to raise their prices. So they called the U.S. Treasury and asked them to start minting 7.5-cent coins.
No.
The Treasury said no, obviously, so they raised their prices to 10 cents.
Did they then give the Treasury a kickback?
No. But it's like, you know what? We don't want to mess with this. Can you just make a new coin just for Coca-Cola bottles? And there's a spot in the Pacific Ocean so remote that the nearest humans are usually in space.
Whoa.
1,600 miles from anywhere.
Okay, that is crazy. You guys, as I said, we really appreciate you hanging out with us here. And hopefully you had a little fun with us. And maybe you'll come back and meet us here at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Until then, see if you can put a smile on somebody's face.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right. It's all right. Get your money while you like.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including